Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. The Sacramento City Council will please come to order. Would the clerk call the roll to establish a quorum?
Thank you. Councilmember Kaplan, Councilmember Tao, Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes, Councilmember Valenzuela.
Here.
Vice Mayor Maple.
Here.
Councilmember Guerra.
Here.
Councilmember Jennings.
Here.
Councilmember Vang. And Mayor Steinberg.
I am here. Councilmember Valenzuela, would you please do us the honor of the land acknowledgement and the Pledge of Allegiance?
I will. Please rise if you are able for the opening acknowledgments in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people and tribal lands. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maidu, Valley and Plains Miwok, Patwin Wintun peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people's history, contributions, and lives. Thank you, and please salute and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Very good evening, early evening to everyone. Let me apologize for our starting the meeting 35 minutes late. We had a lengthy Housing Authority meeting today and then a closed session. And so sometimes it just takes a little bit longer, but your time is important too, so we apologize. And we will get started. The special presentation is postponed until next week, as I understand it. So we're going to get right into the business here. In the consent calendar, are there items that members would like to be spoken of separately and or voted on separately? I got Councilmember Guerra.
Mr. Mayor, I'll go ahead and move the consent calendar, but also continue item number 15 as part of that motion for the next council meeting, and also would like to speak up on, I can't find the right number now, but on the wonderful award of $850,000 for our child development and early childhood education strategy. So I'll find that number in a minute.
We'll find that number and we'll give you an opportunity to speak on that. Thank you, Councilmember. Is there a second on the consent calendar with exception of 15 to continue 15?
Second.
By Councilmember, I think Kaplan spoke first. Go ahead. Okay. And
Thank you.
then why don't you go ahead, okay?
I just would like to speak on items 17 and 19.
Okay. Councilmember Valenzuela.
I'd like to speak on item 8, 12, and 20.
And it's item 16, Mr. Mayor. I found the number here. Thank you.
Okay. We have public testimony on the consent calendar. Let's hear it.
Thank you, Mayor. First speaker is Mike Snell on item 1, Lambert on item 1 and 9, then Mackworthy on item 1. So Mike, Lambert, then Mackworthy, Charles Foss, then on 12.
Greetings, Council. I stand before you as a former business owner here, but I won't get into that. I just want to speak on, I fully support funding the Unseen Heroes and the programs that they support. For me, coming from the cannabis industry, really cutthroat, really gross. I'm sure all of you are aware, but that was like a safe haven for me. As a solo entrepreneur, I don't really associate with a lot of the hoopla in town, but to be in a community with creatives and people that care about bringing something new to the city, delivering something new, that inspires me. And so I would hope that you would respectfully support Unseen Heroes and anything that Meg delivers with her group of constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. Lambert, then Mackworthy. Go ahead and get started.
Yeah, I'm here to talk about number 1. When you are a business owner like me, and by the way, our family-owned business, and it's in writing, I gave it to Measure U last time I was here, Measure U Committee. We are A+ rated as a small business and we have no complaints. And this is the Better Business Bureau saying it. And we've had tremendous difficulty with, so I'm personally against this because this is what's called suspended competitive bidding. If you own a business, this looks like bid rigging to me, bid peddling, and also that's against the law. You're supposed to bid, especially if it's for $750,000. I've applied for different contracts, and it told my family that it was $25,000 was sole sourced, and then you had to bid it out. So because Megan is involved, I'm for the money getting to the creative economy, but not through a dismissing competitive bidding. That's a terrible precedent because, as you see here in San Francisco, that's the problem they're having with city workers and city departments. They're not bidding, and they're supposed to be, and it's being given to family members and friends and things like that. That's what happens when you don't have competitive bidding. And I would like to end by saying I was going to speak on 9, but I'll stay with this one. That's very difficult to accomplish during the pandemic with no complaints. You should be calling us.
Thank you for your comments. Mac Worthy on item 1, Charles Faust on item 12.
Good afternoon, people. Entrepreneurs, how many entrepreneurs here that hire 5 people? As like a Japanese, Chinese business, the family. Okay, now we sit here and look at this type of a thing is friendship. Just reading that we oppose the consent calendar. Somebody have been behind closed doors and know exactly who this was going to. And you know it. You know that what you sit here and lie to the public because it's nonprofit and it benefits you to get your budget passed because they're going to vote for you. That's what you've been doing all the years. IRS told me we got 3,000 nonprofit organizations in this city. Those are voting people. They're not going to sit up here and ask you no question. They're going to say yes. Just like 90% on your panel are going to say yes because you are nonprofit. That's what you in the hole. Understand the business terminology for surplus. If we would be surplus, we pay tax on it. But you're a nonprofit, and it don't affect your budget because you are a parasite. Nonprofit organization from the federal government down is a parasite. Somebody always going to give you the money. Always gonna give, and that's going to. But you can't make it all grants and bonds along in the state because the federal government, once we get the Democrat, Republicans in there, they're going to do it by the law of eliminating and making new law on antitrust laws. And we're making new law on antitrust laws, somebody's going to get burned. And it's going to be people in this city because you don't ask questions.
Thank you for your comments. I have 2 more speakers, Charles Faust on 12, and then Sam Cirillo on item 17.
Good evening. Sacramento became a trans sanctuary city after the point-in-time count was done. I think it's an opportunity. Sorry, this is a homeless. There are 30 homeless beds for this one. It's worth, for small projects like this, looking into, not necessarily this one, but ones in the future, how we can serve the gender non-conforming community better, because we're only sheltering 9% of them, and we're only increasing the percentage that we're not sheltering. So we need to, smaller projects like this, it's worth considering in the future, maybe having them be gender non-binary, or trans, or gender non-conforming specific. That way we can house more than 9% of that population. And I know this is a county count, not a city count. The city might be doing better on this on its own, but it's still worth considering future projects. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Sam Cirillo on item 17.
Hello, Mayor Sandberg and members. My name is Sam Cirillo. I'm one of 25 members of the North Point Neighborhood Association, and I've owned my house in North Point since the development was built in 1989. I'm speaking on item 17 on the consent calendar. The reasons that the council decided to establish a district back in 1989 are the same that are listed in the engineer's report that is before you today. To keep North Point livable, desirable, to preserve its appearance, to keep the neighborhood safe, and to deter criminal activity. These are the goals that the city established for which we are taxed. That is what I and my neighbors pay for. Now the city wants to reduce the services it has provided for the last 34 years and charge us more to do it. Reducing the services, in particular, mowing the Greenbelt assessment areas only once a month or twice a month instead of weekly as it is now, would clearly not be enough to meet the city's stated maintenance goals for the district. In fact, I sent Councilmember Kaplan a picture to show the difference between my lawn mowed weekly and the city's adjoining lawn. There is no separation between my lawn and the city's lawn. And after 1 week of missed mowing, it looked seedy. I doubt if any of you would find that acceptable. We're not asking for more services. We're asking for what we are getting now. Sadly, the city can put the money in now or wind up spending even more money in redevelopment funds later. This is a fate that we're trying to avoid. We want the city to be a partner with us in this effort and not an obstacle. We're asking you to do nothing more than what we ask our other neighbors to do. Keep the lawn mowed, mow it weekly, keep your grass watered, keep your trees maintained so that we can keep North Point safe and clean. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mayor, I have no more speakers.
All right, thank you to the members of the public. Now let's go to the council members. Councilmember Valenzuela on item 8.
Thank you. This item is about establishing a property management agreement for a building we recently required on K Street. I was really struck when I read this agreement to see that we were already in the red when it came to management services. And so I would like to request, as part of the motion for the consent calendar, that the city manager bring back a workshop for us to talk about the future use of that building so that we can have a public discussion given the public interest and what that building might become in the near-term future, so that we ensure we don't keep sort of a revenue loser on our books for too much longer than we might need to.
Yeah, so for clarification, you want a workshop or you want to report back on what the process is going to look like? Because this council has not discussed that yet. And so you're wanting to...
I want to discuss it.
As part of this budget or...
No, as a future item, so not today, but I'd like us to discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Councilmember Valenzuela again now on item 12.
Oh, wow. So this is a resolution to support a new affordable housing community at the corner of 8th and R Street. This is, I believe, the third state excess parcel project in Sacramento and the second in my district. I just really want to applaud the Mutual Housing and CADA team and everybody involved in that project. This is another 239 units. And I do want to reflect, I think what Charles said is a good idea about now that we have our point-in-time count number updated, how are we looking at opportunities to integrate those at-risk populations into future housing models? And so maybe just making a note for the folks from CADA and Mutual who I know are watching tonight to maybe think about, if it's not this project, a future project that would serve that need. But in general, just want to applaud them. This is the second time in 2 months, I think, they've come to us for a project in my district that's really large and going to do a lot for the downtown Midtown corridors and for the people who live here. So just wanted to note that and thank them for their work.
Very good. Thank you so much. Councilman Guerra on item 16.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I wanted to personally thank and congratulate our city team for receiving this item 16. It's the city authorizing the acceptance of an $850,000 grant from the U.S. Small Business Administration for the infant and toddler expansion and capacity and technical assistance for our early child care development centers. This is a monumental step forward. I just want to notice what it'll support. It will support what we've accomplished in only a couple of years from the beginning of when we created our Early Childhood Education Task Force and moved this into our Economic Development Department to focus on early childhood education. We've been able to create and provide 123 child care providers with retention stipends so that they wouldn't close. We were able, through that effort, to secure earlier over $800,000. We were able to support 35 individuals in family child care home licensing. opening 272 new slots for families. I mean, that's immense. After having so many child care slots and centers closed, the fact that we were able to open new slots, and we were able to create also an apprenticeship program, and we're now on the second cohort because we were having a challenge with even workforce in retaining these centers open for families. And for any of us who have small kids and who are trying to find a place, the wait list has been sometimes 18 months to 2 years and getting longer as centers closed. So this is not only an important aspect for the pedagogy and the growth of our kids, but more importantly for working families to have a place for their kids to go. And I wanted to personally thank, and if she's in the room, from our Economic Development Department, our Early Childhood Education Coordinator, Janine Cooper, are you here? But Janine, please stand up. Let's give her a big round of applause because this is a huge win. Front page of the newspaper, but I'll tell you what, this means a lot to families who can't find childcare and need a safe and healthy place for a kid. So I wanted to thank our staff for that. So that was my comment, and all I will ask on this is that while this is a win, unfortunately in the state rollback, we're losing our childcare slots in our county. And so as part of our advocacy, I know it's in our policy platform, but Mr. City Manager, I want to thank our staff, and maybe if our advocacy team can look into on that effort, because we're taking one big step forward because of our city initiative, but we definitely need our state partners to not pull back on us as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for your leadership on the issues of child care in the city. I appreciate it. Councilmember Kaplan, you have items 17 and 19.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to first double up on what Councilmember Guerra said on item 16 of the support, and then also reaching out to the state. Being a parent and having gone through the pandemic with young ones and everything that it entails and how expensive it is, this is really important to a lot of our working families. I want to thank my community member, Sam, on item 17, the Village Green Landscape Maintenance District. I've discussed this on council as I brought it up in budget. This deserves a bigger conversation. Because several districts, as they were formed, do not have a cap on what can be charged. So some districts are only paying $60 and getting services twice a month, where, you know, Village Landscape is Village Garden is now going to have costs go up, and they're still paying for only 2 services instead of the weekly, which is happening citywide, as we know, because of budget cuts. But I think it deserves an equity conversation, since I do have a landscape district just south that is at the max at 60, who is going to get services twice a month, where 6 blocks north is getting charged and the costs are going up. And we know the city is moving from doing the weekly mowing to, you know, bi-monthly because of our budget deficit. But I think it's an equity thing as well, as Village Gardens costs are going to go up to cover the shortfall, but other districts are not and are still going to be allowed the same service. And how does that create equity when a lot of that is in our areas that are lower income and disadvantaged? So I do want to thank our city staff for going above and beyond and finding some special district funding so that it didn't go to once a month, but will go to twice a month in our disadvantaged areas. It's still not enough, but it's something more where it has to be understood in areas that are not disadvantaged. I believe the city is going to once a month. But city manager, just something that I think we need to look at and come back and have a further conversation of what that means. And then understand that this is just the initiating the proceedings. It is not the final decision. There will be another vote on this, but I think it deserves an overall conversation, especially if we look at equity and what that means for our disadvantaged neighborhoods. And then on item 19, I just have to call out, city manager want a little bit more information, because this is universal protection services, and it's a contract of additional $4 million to cover the difference between the originally anticipated annual cost over the last 4 years and what was actually spent. And how are we, as we look at the balancing of the budget and budget deficit. I know protective services are important, but getting maybe a detailed report back of where are we spending that money and is it being used wisely? Are there any ways we could maybe curtail a little bit of that? But just seeing the huge increase was a little shocking.
Yeah, there's a couple things going on, Councilmember. And so what I'll do is an off-agenda memo to the council to talk about some of the cost escalations and the expansion of service, and maybe some ways we can dial back and, you know, the level of service at certain community centers and city facilities. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's it.
All right. Let's go to Councilmember Valenzuela for the last comment on item 20.
Yeah, thank you. So this is a contract supplement for tree pruning services, and to remind the colleagues, we had segmented this contract out because we have a structural issue in our urban forestry team. You know, some of these services this contractor is providing are ongoing specialty things that we know we're always going to need, and some of this is backfill for routine service because we aren't adequately staffed in our urban forestry team. So we had decided to segment this out because it felt like a good opportunity to actually potentially save money by bringing stuff in-house and paying those workers what they want and what they need to compete with the salaries that they're leaving us to take. So I will say that I was hoping that I know part of our direction back then was for us to get an update before this came back. And so I was a little bummed to see it come on the agenda without us getting an update. But I did my own homework and talked to Local 39, and they've assured me that those conversations are ongoing, which I was grateful to hear, that they do believe this supplement is necessary for now. But they reiterated our shared hope that, you know, the next time this comes forward, which I imagine will probably be before the end of the next fiscal year, that there would be a discussion about the urban forestry team and what they might need in order to bring some of these services in-house. I think as we're looking at balancing a budget ongoing, we have to examine these sort of expenditures. And this is a great company that we work with. They're union represented. They pay their workers well. They actually pay their workers way more than we pay our urban forestry workers. And so I think this is one of those opportunities as you look at a future year budget deficit, again, to really think about this contract moving forward. And so that's only my comment, is that I don't oppose this contract moving forward today, but I did want to remind my colleagues why this was segmented in the way it was so that we could stay diligent and make sure that we're following up with Local 39. And I'd really love to get an update in the next 6 to 8 weeks or so about where those conversations are at.
So, Councilmember, we've been having, as you say, robust conversations with Local 39. We're all on the same page with this item coming forward. There's the question about what we can do to be competitive, and you know, the wages alone, when you look at the outside contractors versus city employees, there's a disparity. And so we're trying to get apples to apples given the level of benefits from city employees and the specialty piece. So we're in lockstep with the union on this.
That's exciting to hear. So I hope we can get an update in the next month and a half or two, and so that we just hear where that's going, because it did sounded optimistic that there was stuff on the table that maybe there could be consensus on, and I would just love to get an update and maybe in a future closed session where that stands, so we know.
I think that we're getting close, and they're trying to help us with recruitment as well, because that's the other part of it.
That's excellent. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the consent calendar to approve it with the exception of item 16. Excuse me, item 15. Excuse me, I apologize. Item 15 to be continued to another date. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, abstain. Thank you. The consent calendar passes. Without objection, I'm going to propose that we take up item 24 before 23 because we want to hear from the Measure U committee. As we have on a number of occasions, but it's really important input, before we take up the 2024-25 city budget. Chair Dickinson, are you? There you are. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Marge Dickinson, Chair of the Measure U Community Advisory Committee. Here with me is Marbella Sala, Vice Chair of the Advisory Committee. We appreciate the opportunity to present our recommendations on the 24-25 budget tonight. Let me start by saying that we recognize the very difficult challenges that you face in adopting a balanced budget, and that we appreciate the approach you took to protect staff and limit impacts on programs and services, at least for the coming year. As the agenda notes, our committee made initial recommendations to you on April 30th and then adopted follow-up recommendations on May 20th, which were presented to Budget and Audit on May 28th. First, we are pleased to note the budget process and proposal, coupled with the mayor's budget letter, all reinforced our recommendation that equity considerations be at the forefront of budget decision-making and that historically underinvested communities be prioritized. We are also pleased that the proposed budget funding for programs that impact youth, inclusivity, and community are included in the new proposal, and that there is appears to be a path to restoration of funds to the ride-free RT transit proposal. Second, we want to reinforce our recommendation that the council continue to make funding for homeless services and support and affordable housing a priority, with an emphasis on preventing people from losing housing. And third, while we are disappointed that funding to renew the participatory budgeting program is not included for 24-25, we remain hopeful that once the funded programs are completed and evaluated later this year, that their value will be proved and future funding be provided. Finally, we are really excited and appreciative that $16,000 in funding for focus groups emerging out of the partnership between our committee and the Auditor's Community Survey a couple of years ago is proposed, and we urge the full council's support for that item. Again, thank you for, and the whole city budget team, for your leadership and compassionate stewardship of our community in these difficult times.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you.
Answer questions.
Are there questions from members? Councilmember Vang.
Oh, no questions, just more of comments.
Oh, go ahead, because I don't think
Yeah.
we have public testimony.
Oh, why don't we wait for public testimony first?
We don't have, it's,
Oh, we don't?
oh, we do have
we
three.
Oh.
I apologize. I thought we didn't have any. Go right ahead.
I have 3 speakers on this item: Lambert, Keon Bliss, then Marbella.
Measure U is an interesting concept. If it wasn't for Mayor Steinberg, and I went to a lot of the meetings that he hosted, this city would be further in debt if you look at the math. So it was wonderful what he did. And at the same time, I attended many Measure U meetings. I didn't just go to 1 or 2. And I noticed that things have changed. For instance, during Measure U meetings, I never heard of Measure U being combined with the general fund. I would have never voted for that had I known that. It should have been separate. And in terms of Measure U, you couldn't have 2 finer people of integrity than Marge Dickinson with the chair and Marbella Sala, because I've studied them. I go to a lot of commission meetings because I'm from Sacramento. My parents moved here in 1946, probably before most of you on that rostrum were born, including me. And I really do love this city because I'm from here. Grant Pacer, 1976, we know how to operate under pressure, and we know how to win it all when it's on the line. And that's what you have here. But this is a wonderful program. I think that if you, and people haven't been listening, but hopefully you'll listen tonight, people who are working remotely in Sacramento from the city, they shouldn't receive a raise. If you don't give them a raise for not coming to work here, you can save $1 million for the participatory budgeting program and the RT. And it wouldn't jeopardize people working from home. They just wouldn't get a raise.
Thank you for your comments. Keon Bliss, then Marbella.
Okay.
Mayor and Council, I am here to support my colleagues on the Measure U Advisory Committee and these very reasonable and common sense recommendations that they're putting forward to you. And I want to encourage you as you look to the budget tonight to really take a hard look at why we wouldn't want to continue another round of participatory budgeting. At just $1 million, there's actually more than enough money to provide those sorts of funds if we actually look into all the departments that have that. And one of the things that we're really leaving money on the table in are the number of vacancies that particular departments, such as the police department, is largely absent from the current round of budget cuts to close the $66 million budget shortfall. This could easily afford the savings that you could cut from just the positions that were offered in those tiered 1 through 4 line items presented back in April to fund the Measure U's participatory budgeting process. And it could also provide the investment in staffing that it needed to really be successful, particularly making sure that city staff are working to make sure every member on the within the process is informed about the city's rules and helping them navigate the process in order to make that happen. But most importantly, too, I think putting equity considerations at the forefront is particularly important. And one of those things that we can start doing is by taking the proactive step of actually agendizing this before we even get to this point of the final budget vote. This should be considered as soon as possible within the budget deliberation processes. And I have to note how this was still agendized after the final budget approval vote. And I appreciate you, Mayor, for moving it up as you should have. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Marbella, then Mike Snell.
Good evening. Well, first of all, I really want to thank all of you and appreciate that you heard us about the focus groups and the importance of doing the focus groups, because one of the mandates for the Measure U is really to go out and seek feedback and engagement in the community. Participatory budgeting was one way to do that, but the focus groups are really important because when the auditor did their community survey, one of the questions they asked the community was if they wanted to participate in focus groups and give feedback on how the money should be spent. We had over 500 people give their emails, and this was like 3 years ago, to stating that effect. And I think it's important that we get back to them and say, we heard you, you're important, and we want to seek your feedback. So you finding the resources to support $16,000 for focus groups is very important to our work, so thank you. And I also echo Chair Dickinson's comments, her earlier comments as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mike Snell is our final speaker on this item.
Greetings, Council. So my comments is just, it's obviously in regards to past tense, in regards to Measure U, Measure L. Me as a cannabis operator paying absurd taxes, I would like to see more services and us do more for Measure L, Measure U, but we can't do that with cannabis being the only source of income for that. And it's a total disservice to not only the blooming industry, but it's also a disservice to those on the beneficiary side of these benefits. We can do better, starting with, again, campaigning for increasing the local BOT tax. I only saw a couple commercials about it, and there wasn't much push on it, and I can understand why it didn't pass. But we're missing a huge chunk of money. If I'm paying more than Target, Walmart, Amazon alike, that are capped at $5K a year, and I've already paid over $90K in a year, and my business was illegally shuttered, then you're losing out on that money going forward. So it would make sense for us to find other means beyond just cannabis as a sin tax to benefit these truly needed services. In addition, obviously, we need to find means outside of the business operating tax. How can we tie in alcohol sales? There's no reason for it. We're still seeing people dying day in and out from either alcohol-related incidents, car accidents, or whether it's a combination of a drug overdose with alcohol. And it's seriously detrimental. We don't need to go over any of the evidence is already there from our history. We have to find a way to tie this into our tax because we're missing out on a huge, from events, Kings games, you name it, we're missing out on a huge budget of tax revenue And I just hope that you guys would consider that going forward. I'm concerned about this since you're leaving, Mayor, and you as well, Katie. Where's the continuity going to stay? And so I hope it remains firm with you, City Manager. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mayor. I have no more speakers.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from members? Councilmember Vang did. I have a quick comment. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. First of all, just thank you, Mayor, for flagging this item. It should have came before us voting on the budget, so really appreciate you pulling that, because the whole point was for Measure U committee to actually share the recommendation before we make the final vote. So appreciate you doing that. And I just really wanted to take this time to thank Chair Dickinson and all of the members of our Measure U committee. I know this is labor of love. You put a lot of time into this to provide recommendation to the council. I really just want to thank you for your service. I know that tonight we're going to have a difficult budget conversation ahead, and appreciate also the commission stating the challenges that we have as mayor and council in making these tough decisions. But there is 3 recommendations that I definitely want to uplift. I know I uplifted these 3 during our budget and audit, but also just wanted to share again. I think recommendation 3, right, requesting for the city to set aside some funding to dive a little bit deeper into the focus group after doing that survey with 500 respondents wanting to have a deeper understanding of just how we're engaging the community, and was really thrilled to see that item in the budget in the next item. So appreciate city manager working with the mayor to find those funds to make sure that we could do that. I know that was something that was a priority for me during budget and audit. So just wanted to uplift that. I'm glad to see that in the budget. The next item that we're going to be voting on, recommendation 4 around equity in particular, I just want to share as chair of the Racial Equity Committee, is that this city, we have a long ways to go. But I do want to appreciate our incredible city staff, me and the team from our Office Diversity Equity Office, that we're beginning to implement the C tool. We still have to build capacity of our staff, but just trust that we're doing what we can to move that ship. And I know that work isn't going to happen overnight, but wanted to share that with you. My understanding is that city staff is also set to do a presentation, I believe, to the Measure U committee, which was requested, and so really glad that that's going to happen as well. And just wanted to uplift that recommendation in particular, because a city's budget is a reflection of our values, and we talk a lot up here on the dais about centering equity and making sure that every decision we make is around that. So just wanted to uplift that recommendation. And then lastly, thank you for your support of the mayor's letter as well in terms of restoring youth programs and understanding the importance of Right RT and what that means for our young people in the city. I just want to say that I can only speak for myself, but I am absolutely in alignment with you all and just really appreciate all the hard work. And I can see that some of these recommendations are slowly being implemented, while not all given the budget constraints, but really just want to say thank you for all your hard work. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Vang. I just want to thank the Measure U committee as well and the leadership for sort of being a bit of our conscience to make sure that we are doing our very best to hold true to the original intent of Measure U. You know, somebody made the comment, Lambert made the comment that if he knew that this was going to be general fund, he wouldn't have voted for it. The problem was, and is, that in order to pass any tax measure with a majority vote, it has to be the general fund. And that was the conundrum that we find ourselves in here. Now, my letter, which I just referenced, calls for the restoration of some important youth-related measures. The base budget includes $20 million or so of general fund money for homelessness. We, of course, have spent significant amount of Measure U general fund money on building an Office of Economic Development, which is a catalyst and direct investment in the future economy of our city. We've invested real Measure U and general fund money in affordable housing. So without Measure U, despite its imperfections, the deficit this year would be $130 million. That's what it would be. So all the things that we're able to restore, that we're able to maintain in the base budget, would be gone, much less the public safety side and layoffs of city employees, et cetera, but direct community investment. So I just appreciate the way, Chair Dickinson, sort of that you're approaching this assertively, real advocacy, but also sort of acknowledging some of the trade-offs here too, and continue to be the conscience for future mayors and councils to make sure that we continue to invest money directly in the community as we maintain our essential city service functions that are the core of what the city does. Thanks. All right, we took that up. Now we'll move to the main event of the evening, and that is the consideration of the 24-25 city budget. I turn it over to Mr. Coletto.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and members of the public. I'm Pete Coletto, the Finance Director for the city. We'll just begin with our budget hearing process. So we're now at the end. We're at review of the final budget and adoption. And just as a reminder, this process really started back in January when every department presented to council on what their level of service is, what they do. So the budget before you is balanced. It's a $1.6 billion spending plan with $847 million in the general Measure U funds. It closes a $66 million funding gap without eliminating any filled positions. And it incorporates council's May 21st action, which incorporated the mayor's memo into the proposed budget, as well as the Budget and Audit Committee May 28th action, which includes the $16,000 for focus groups for Measure U. So this chart looks familiar. This is how we closed the $66 million funding gap. I'll really point you down to those last three lines, last three rows. So the May 21st action, it's fully funded. The mayor's memo is fully funded. The May 28th action, we've identified $16,000 of available funding, so that is balanced. And there are some other technical adjustments. These are position reclasses, labor adjustments, other things like that. There's more detail in the staff report, but it generated roughly $50,000 of savings to the general fund. And again, those position decreases, those are all vacancies. So our reduction plan, how does it look? One-time ongoing. So it's balanced. It's 55% one-time solutions to close the budget gap, 30.2% ongoing. So those one-time solutions need to be made up for in the following fiscal year, but we've made a dent in our structural deficit. So here are the major proposed to final budget changes. The first kind of group there, that's from the mayor's memo, utilizing up to $3.3 million of this fiscal year's contribution to the Economic Uncertainty Reserve to make restorations and investments, and you can see them listed out there. The other piece of the mayor's memo was to restore the language access coordinator position, which we are doing from the funding that was set aside by council during the fiscal year 24 budget process. We're restoring the funding for SMUD, MOSAC, as well as the Sacramento History Alliance by utilizing Measure N to shift those costs over to the Community Center Fund. The modernization of the home occupation fee permit program has already come to law and legislation, and Public Works is working on the fee waiver program for low-income seniors for the sidewalk repair administration fee. And then highlighted in red is the Budget and Audit Committee action for the focus groups. So when we take a look at the final budget, what does it look like? What does our forecast look like? So you can see fiscal year 24-25 is balanced, very small positive surplus, but we have still have a structural budget problem. One thing I will note is that our forecast does not include state homeless funding, HAP funding, after fiscal year 24-25. But I do want to highlight the efforts of the mayor and the other big city mayors in advocating to the state legislature to restore funding for the HAP program. So the legislature has included it in their budget proposal. So we're going to wait to see how those negotiations go with the governor. So if that funding is approved and we get a similar level of funding that we're getting now, that would lower the deficit to closer to the $55 million range for fiscal year 26. But we don't include that in our forecast until it's a done deal. So the budget actions in the final budget before you do impact the Economic Uncertainty Reserve. We would be suspending the fiscal year 25 contribution completely and $3.3 million of the roughly $3.8 million fiscal year 24 contribution. So this would put us below our 10% minimum by council policy by about $6.5 million. Council also has a target of 2 months of spending, and we would be roughly $64 million below that. And again, the lower EUR balance does put us at more risk if we do have a downturn. So we do have some upcoming challenges. Again, our structural budget deficit that we've been talking about throughout this process. We just have a fundamental imbalance between our expense and revenue growth. We haven't included the cost of potential future labor agreements because we don't know what those would be. We're facing increasing insurance costs, risk insurance and workers' comp, and then the future of the HAP funding that I just referenced. So we're cautiously optimistic about the next fiscal year, but we'll have to see how those state budget negotiations go. And as part of this process, we've also discussed our unfunded liabilities for capital, pension, and OPEB benefits, which are mainly retiree health benefits. And again, a recession would make all our challenges harder. But one thing I will say on the positive side is, I'm hopeful we can meet these challenges. We've really come together as a city team to put together this budget, and I'm confident in our ability to continue to do so. And with that, I'd like to thank the mayor and council and the city manager and his executive team for their leadership. Really my budget team who's worked tirelessly these past few months, the partnership of the department heads and the department staff, our advisory committees, and members of the public who have been engaged throughout the process and really provided valuable insights and feedback. We had a big challenge this year, but it was really the city coming together as a team to meet the challenge and balance the budget with as little an impact on the community as possible. So that concludes our presentation, and we are happy to answer any questions.
Terrific. Thank you so much. I'll make my comments after we hear the public comment, but a lot to say and a lot of praise your way, so thank you. How many do we have, Madam Clerk?
I have 47 speakers for this agenda
Okay.
item.
I will make my comments at 11:30 tonight.
So I will read off a few names, and I will encourage members of the public to line up in the main aisle. Kip Blewett. Again, Kip Blewett, Mike Testa, Christine Alt, John Hodgson.
Good evening, everybody. I know you're going to hear from a variety of speakers tonight. Somehow I got to be the first speaker, and so I want to make 2 points because I'm going to speak on behalf of the business community. I'm going to speak in support of Mayor Chan's thoughtful approach to the budget, and on behalf, City Manager Chan.
Now that was a Freudian slip. There we go.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Maybe Freudian slip. I also want to thank Chief Lester and all of the law enforcement people here who are in the room. We don't thank them enough, and we're supporting them also with these comments. So I want to say one thing broadly as a member of the business community. I am the current chair of the Downtown Partnership, 2-time chair, also sitting on the board of executive committee of Visit Sacramento, and I have been a member of the Metro Chamber Board. I only say that because I want you all to listen a little bit differently this time, because the number of business people that are in the room speaking on this issue, I think is significant. I think you're going to hear a variety of voices, some with lots of intensity, around the issue of public safety. So I ask you all to listen a little bit differently than you have in the past to a little bit different voices. We do appreciate you've got some tough decisions to make tonight, but we do want to speak in support of public safety. I want to call out, though, one constituency within the Downtown Partnership. So the second thing I want to do is speak specifically to the 400 ground floor businesses that are within the 66 block area of the Downtown Partnership. They are also part of our constituency. I didn't wear a tie today because I think sometimes the Downtown Partnership is thought of as just being large business. Those businesses are suffering. Those businesses are calling with one voice for more support for public safety. So I hope you hear that tonight, as well as support from other various members of the business community. Thank you again in support of the Mayor Chan, City Manager Chan.
Next speaker is Mike Testa.
Before we're done, I'm going to make one comment before Mr. Testa comes up. I love the fact that the chamber is full, and I love the fact that the business committee is here tonight. I really do. We need you here every week on all the tough issues, but I want to be clear about one thing. This proposed budget does not contain cuts to the police budget. So in terms of the context of tonight, you can come here and say that we need to put more money into public safety. That's fine. There are no cuts to the police budget. So except some minor ones that were supported by the manager and the police chief. So I just want to make sure that the testimony is relevant to what is before the body here tonight, because this shouldn't be a hearing about cuts to public safety. That's not what's on the table tonight.
Mike Testa.
Mayor Steinberg, City Manager Chan, members of the City Council, my name is Mike Testa. I'm the President and CEO of Visit Sacramento. Thank you for your diligence in working to craft a balanced budget that protects investment in city fundamentals. These processes are never easy, and we applaud the dedication with which you approach it. In that regard, Visit Sacramento supports the City Manager's proposed budget as presented in the staff report, and we strongly oppose any additional cuts to critical areas, like high impact and severe impact categories. When it comes to the residents and tourists, we have to continue to support the great events in Sacramento like the ones that we saw this past weekend on Capitol Mall and in the neighborhoods across our city. To do so, we have to ensure that we do not jeopardize the safety of those individuals who are attending these events, and we can only do so by prioritizing their safety through our budget priorities. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you for your comments. Christine Alt, John Hodgson, then Jay Robinson.
Good evening. My name is Christine Alt. You may know me as the wife to Michael Alt, and you might suppose that my testimony here tonight is intended to support the downtown Sacramento's position. But I'm not here in either capacity. I stand before you representing myself as a victim of an unprovoked act of assault committed by a homeless woman. I am here on behalf of Kevin Brace, Mary Tibbetts, James Rowley, and thousands of fellow Sacramentans who have been victim of violence, theft, fire, or threat at the hands of the mentally unstable. I do not need to tell you the magnitude of the problem that plagues our city. You know the stats better than I. You know that the number of people on the streets in desperate need of help continues to grow worse every day. You know that the crime and the petty crime and the violent crime are rampant across our communities as a consequence of that situation. You know the extraordinary health and safety crisis afflicting residents, both the housed and the unhoused, is unquestionably dire. And you know that the response to date has been far from enough. The woman who attacked me was on probation at the time of my assault. She was on violation of a stay-away order from downtown, prohibiting her from downtown where the attack occurred. She was a chronic offender and drug user known to the police, and she had 7 other cases pending against her when I crossed her path. None of these controls deterred her from offending the law on that day. In fact, she displayed an attitude of a person who was free from consequence. We face a public safety crisis that transcends everything and everyone. Every hallmark of a functioning, livable society is adversely affected by this crisis. Commerce, public transportation, recreation, tourism, quality of life, economy, public spaces, hospitals, waterways, libraries, and grocery stores. Citizens, whether they are wealthy or poor, young or old, white or black.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Our next speaker is John Hodgson. Following John is Jay Robinson, Angelo Totopoulos.
Good evening. My name is John Hodgson. Acting mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor, excuse me. I'll keep this short. As a longtime resident and business owner in the city of Sacramento, I'm here tonight to support the city manager's proposed budget for the upcoming year. I request the council not to make any further reductions to core city services. In these challenging times, keeping people safe and addressing homelessness must remain as our top priorities. Thank you for your leadership in supporting a thoughtful proposed budget that will balance fiscal responsibility with what's right for Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Jay Robinson, then Angelo Tokopoulos, then Michael Alt.
Good evening, Mayor, council members.
I'm Jay Robinson, Senior Vice President and Area Manager for Kaiser Permanente here in Sacramento. At Kaiser Permanente, we believe that community safety is a public health issue. As one of the largest employers and healthcare systems in the region, we have invested in violence prevention and intervention programs for many years, working to interrupt cycles of violence, preventing injuries from firearms, and helping to address social and environmental disparities in our communities. These programs cannot be successful on their own. Our investments only work in conjunction and in partnership with the City of Sacramento and other organizations. It is imperative that our city continues to fully invest in public safety. I know you have many priorities and needs, but I urge you to keep public safety as a top priority in this city. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Angelo, then Michael Alt, then Josh Leachman.
Mayor Steinberg, City Council members, City Manager Chan. Good evening. Angelo Gitsakopoulos, 1435 River Park Drive, Sacramento. Thank you very much to city staff and your entire team for what is undoubtedly a difficult budget. I am here tonight, both personally and on behalf as Vice Chair of the Downtown Sacramento Partnership, to strongly support City Manager Chan's, I did not make that mistake, City Manager Chan's recommendation for the budget included in the staff report. Downtown specifically needs a tremendous amount of support from a public safety standpoint. It is becoming increasingly difficult, as most of you are aware, to encourage workers to come back to work and come back to the office and provide the support, create the support in financial terms to downtown businesses. Over the course of the next few years, we're going to be having the A's, as I understand it, playing in West Sacramento, and that's going to bring a significant number of new visitors to downtown Sacramento, and public safety must be the absolute first concern. Otherwise, everything else is going to fail. We know it's been a difficult set of deliberations on this issue, but we strongly support the Sacramento Police Department and along with all the city departments that provide clean and safe services to downtown Sacramento. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for your comments. Michael Alt, then Josh Leachman.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, City Manager, Michael Alt, Executive Director of the Downtown Partnership. I'm here on behalf of our 600 property business owners, residents, visitors, to talk to you about supporting this budget. We absolutely understand the challenges associated with the budget deficit and understand the need to make tough decisions. I think, as you know, we are in a crisis in the Central City. As you heard last week, we had an unprovoked violent assault that resulted in the death of a downtown employee. And this tragic issue is another example of why we need to continue to invest in public safety and services to help this. We think that the city manager's budget does that. Our colleagues at the Sacramento Police Department do an incredible job, and our public safety officials need the tools and funds to do their job and have an obligation with this body to help support them in order to receive it. Ensuring our city services are at the forefront of everybody's mind, we need to make sure that we're providing an environment that is welcoming to investment, capital investment, but also understanding that perception is everything to us. Our brand is better than this. We need a budget that helps us to move to the next level. Millions of individuals and families and visitors from all council districts and beyond come to downtown to enjoy conventions, activations, concerts, farmers markets, and events at the Golden One Center, Midtown, and Old Sacramento. They bring with them almost $2 billion in investments. We need to make sure what we are doing is protecting that investment and looking to the future. We ask that you support the city manager's budget and appreciate your continued support of downtown. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Josh Leachman, to Paulo Padilla, then Tina DePaul.
Good evening, members of the council, mayor, city manager. My name's Josh Leachman. I'm here on behalf of Downtown Rail Yard Venture, owner and master developer of the rail yards. We thank you for your efforts in pursuing a balanced budget. DRV supports the city manager's budget presented in the staff report and strongly oppose any additional cuts to core services that address crime and maintain public safety. On a project and personal note, our first major residential project in the rail yards, the AJ, was vandalized and substantially damaged. For that project alone, we employ 3 security guards. Contractors on the AJ and our other project are repeatedly assaulted. A surveyor recently was assaulted and his equipment ripped from his hands, thrown to the ground. Theft of building materials happens frequently. Tools are stolen constantly. Yet we see hope. We tour prospective tenants. We tour lenders, partners. Many of these tours with potential tenants would be regional destinations. They see opportunity. They too express hope. Universally, the major concern voiced on these tours is the city's ability to deliver core services, such as the incident management team. I ask you to please support the city manager's proposed budget as written. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you for your comments. Topolo Padilla, then Tina DePaul, then Robert Height.
I'd ask for 10 seconds to acknowledge the passing of Kevin Brace, a 56-year-old gentleman who was working in an office. For 34 years, he worked a night shift, so I'd ask that 10 seconds be obliged to me. Thank you.
Granted.
As I start my comments, I know that you will hear me, but will you listen? You see, when people take time out of the day to go to the Capitol or here, we're not just a bunch of dumb people, we're good people who work hard for everything we have. We know, but will you listen? You go to your committees. Have you already made up your mind? I say to you that we have a problem in Sacramento, and we know we have a problem. And this isn't about homeless people. This is about dangerous people walking amongst our streets. This is about people assaulting people innocently. Since the last week's incident, I've heard from numerous people, I don't even want to tell you how many, about the assaults that they've received. This can be fixed, so here's my solution. And I wish Katie Valenzuela was here to hear this, because she needs to hear it. Just leave the police alone. Let them do their job. These Chief Lester and her officers, they know how to be police. You be city council, please let them be police. Let them go out here and protect our streets. They can do it. I've been 41 years I've worked in public safety. 41 years I've worked a block from this office, from this chamber right here. I know how to solve it. They know how to solve it. Please support them, council. Support them. Don't not have their back. And I do hear that overtime is on the chopping block. I didn't appreciate being called a liar the other day because I do hear it is on the chopping block. So, okay, well, I hear differently, so we'll agree to disagree. So please make sure it doesn't. Thank you, Mayor. Please, folks, support your police, and you will do that. I have so much more to say, but I just ask you to take care of this city. It's in your hands, and you can do it by letting them do their job.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tina DePaul. Tina DePaul, Robert Height, Mike Snell, then Robert Copeland.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, city manager, and staff. My name is Tina DePaul, and I'm the general manager at Mulvaney's B&L Restaurant. Pretty nervous speaking to all of you, but I do believe in the importance of public safety agencies to help make Sacramento a better place to live. So I'm standing here tonight asking you to support the city manager's proposed budget as written and strongly oppose any additional cuts to high and severe impact categories. These hardworking men and women of the police department give us hope. Throughout the year with their consistent and gentle presence, they help us build the Sacramento that we all know and love. The deadly incidences of violence in the central city over the last few days, including the stabbing just down the alley from the BNL, highlight that their work is even more critical than we had thought. But we should not overlook that the perception of safety is critical to the health and to the life of our city. For those of us who live on the grid, come in from the suburbs, or to find ourselves visiting from other parts of the country and the world. So now we're coming out of the pandemic, and we've all worked together to ensure that Sacramento remains a destination of choice, and I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to continue towards a better Sacramento. So thank you for your efforts to always make Sacramento better, as well as your efforts to craft a balanced budget that protects your investments to the core city services. So I ask you again to please support the city manager's budget as written, and thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you for your comments. Robert Height, Mike Snell, Robert Copeland, Dustin Smith.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager. I am Robert Height, President and CEO of the Sacramento Metro Chamber, and I am here this evening to ask you to please approve the City Manager's recommended budget. We know that there's a lot of sacrifice that comes with trying to balance a budget. It's not easy. Representing business, everyday business faces this challenge. We know we recognize collectively as a community we need a strong, safe, and clean downtown. We cannot afford to not invest in the police department. It is not an expense, it is an investment. And so we applaud your effort to continue funding them. And to the mayor's point earlier, perhaps look as things improve to continue to invest more. In the short time that I've been here and leading the chamber, I've been highly impressed with Chief Lester and the performance of her and the police department of what they face every single day. I am equally impressed with our city manager, Howard Chan, and the work he does. It is not easy. And for you all as city council members, you take a lot of heat. You come under fire for many different things. We recognize that. We thank you. But we do need a strong, safe, clean downtown as we look for reinvestment, for new opportunities, and we ask you again to please support the city manager's budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Robert Height, Mike Snell, Robert Copeland. Robert Height. I don't see Mike. Robert. Thank you. Mike, then Robert Copeland.
Greetings, Council. Mike Snell. This will be my last comment of the evening. I come as a business owner from District 6. I struggle with the budget in general in terms with how much goes to the police budget because of the fact, obviously, what I pay in taxes in comparison to those other businesses, corporations that aren't small business. I'm a small business owner, and I don't even own a house in this city yet, but I've paid upwards of $300K in taxes to both the state and the city, and I'm not even a full year in business yet. So I struggle with trying to support this budget because the officer that's even there that had to respond to the unfortunate situation when I was supposed to be here getting acknowledgement for participating in the City Playing Academy, but my store is being robbed by a business partner I'm currently in dispute with. And the unfortunate response I got from everybody is, well, good luck in court, because basically there's no training for the police department to even so much stop my partners from removing during business hours everything that keeps my business in compliance. That's unacceptable at this point. And I just want to know what you guys are going to do about it. I know I do have support, minimal support in a couple areas, but as a mass for council, I'm really concerned about the continuity as we see in some of the seats that help originate Measure U and Measure L. And they will disappear. So I don't know what the future looks like for my business. I don't know what the future looks like for myself. I've lost my mother, my family, and my business all in the same year. And I want to know what are my options here that wouldn't increase the crime rate in the city. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Robert Copeland, then Dustin Smith, then Lambert, Mac Worthy, Ernesto Delgado.
Well, first of all, public safety does not always include SAC PD. I mean, just this year, they put a stop sign right outside my apartment complex, which made a whole lot safer. And I live in Katy Valenzuela's district, so thank you. One, how much has Sacramento City Council spent on lawsuits committed by SAC PD? in the last few years. I don't hear that. I reject Howard Chan's budget. Next thing on the item, Kids Ride First. That is one of the best things Sacramento City Council has ever done. It should not be cut. It should not be reduced. Sacramento City Council should fund that fully. Not SAC-RT, not the school district, but Sacramento City Council. You authorized this, Mayor Steinberg. You got to pay for it. And perpetuity and as long as RT is around. It's one of the best things around. It helps climate change. It helps students go to jobs, school, the movies, dates, maybe. I'm not a student, so I don't know about that part. So I think SAC PD's got a lot of explaining to do on how they're going to solve crime. They failed. Why should we fund a failure? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Justin Smith and Lambert. Justin Smith and Lambert.
Hello, I'm Dustin Smith, President of the Sacramento Police Officers Association. We no longer have the ability to defund the police department. In a city our size, we should have no fewer than 1,056 police officers. The last count, I had 657. We should have no fewer than 81 dispatcher twos, your first line when you call 911. Last count, 40. That's not taking into account the fact that we're a capital city. Over time, we have reduced and eliminated different units without restoring them. And what does this mean? This means that we are the equivalent of a defunded police department. I have said it before, and I will say it again. We only have the resources to provide C- service at best. The monies used to fund department overtime is critical in maintaining our already low staffing levels. This isn't a case where officers are abusing overtime. Overtime shifts often go vacant as your overworked officers and dispatchers are too burned out to carry any more weight. We cannot afford any further cuts without seriously jeopardizing the safety of our communities. And thank you for your respect and time.
Thank you for your comments. Lambert. Lambert. Excuse me, Lambert. Our next.
There's no shouting out. If you're shouting out.
I want to remind members of the audience, please do not disrupt the orderly conduct of these proceedings by continuing to speak out from the audience. You are in violation of Chapter 5 of the City Council Rules of Procedure, and if you continue, you'll be directed to leave the meeting. Our next speaker is Lambert, then Mackworthy.
Yes, Lambert Davis of To the Bay and Back Cheesecakes, and I'm speaking on this budget. I don't consider this the city manager's budget. The mayor has something to do with it, and so does these other people up here. They should be acknowledged. I don't ever hardly hear the city manager give us the report. So if you don't give us the report, to me, the budget is these other people up here. Don't forget about them. They were voted in, and the mayor should get more respect than that. He was voted in citywide. I also want to acknowledge a couple of people before I play you some integrity, and that's Jackie Beecham of Yipsy. She should be honored for her outside-the-box thinking regarding equity. So should Megan of Creative Arts. And now I'm going to let this whole public hear an 18-year-old granddaughter who took our business, cheesecake business, viral. And I'm a baby boomer. I didn't even understand viral or TikTok or to the band or social media, but she did, and I was wise enough to listen to her. Listen at this.
To the band back cheesecakes, to the band back cheesecakes. Know it's gonna be a good day with the to the band back cheesecakes. One bite will change your life. One bite will change your life. One bite will get you right. One bite will get you right. To the band back cheesecakes, to the band back cheesecakes. Know it's gonna be a good day. With it to the band back cheesecake. One bite will change your life. One bite will get you right. To the band back cheesecake. To To the band bag cheese.
Now, we have 8 seconds left. To the Bay and Back Cheesecakes has gone viral in Los Angeles, the Bay Area, and Sacramento.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Mac Worthy. Mac Worthy, then Ernesto Delgado, then Tiffany Clark.
I support the police department too. The police is not the problem. That's where your problem is. Cuts. You got 6 city managers, 5 city managers, and 6 attorneys. That's where your money going, people. Big money. And it's a lot behind that from your mayor. Now, hypothetically, you sit on the bench of the Bar Association of the State of California attorneys. This is not a practicing ground for attorneys. It's not a practicing ground for attorneys. We just proved something a few days ago over at the Capitol. Wake up, people. This thing gonna go. Now, your crime, the police is after the crime have happened. Downtown Association got to clean their own box up. You only got stuff downtown that bombs will participate in. So, who's gonna come downtown? I don't go downtown. I ain't been to the arena since I've been there. I've been here since 18 years old, and I'm 82 years old. Then you talk about the age. You're gonna bring people. You can put 25 more thousand policemen on the force. You're not gonna solve crime in this city and no other city. Leave them alone. One guy tell me. Your oversight is the problem. Leave them alone. Let them do it themselves. That little girl got killed in North Sacramento. Who was out there? Was she using some of that bullshit they would for that little girl to get killed? A common house call, you know, to secure the surroundings and wait till your backup comes. You gotta know that. But that thing of oversight is your problem. Eliminate it. Eliminate it, people. I got some things to talk to the police department about, but I want to talk to them on that ground.
Thank you for your comments. Ernesto Delgado.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, City Manager and the whole City Council. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm here to speak on behalf of my staff, my team, here at La Cosecha, Maya Well, the coffee shop, and just like to communicate how I support the budget, and I hope that you all approve, and I request that you keep it on the top of your list for future. I work every day, all day. I work for you, I work for me, I work for my family. Sorry. It's hard to speak up here, but just want my city to be great. I really do. I show you every day what I put out. I don't blame anyone. I just keep doing what I do. And I want a clean, safe city for myself, for my team, for my businesses, for our city. And I'm sad to walk our streets, to come into work. I often think about going to another city, but I don't. I keep reinvesting in my city. And you see how I do it day in, day out. I want my team to feel safe, and I want my city to be clean. I'm working with you, so please let me know how I can help you do that. Thank you.
For your comments, Tiffany Clark.
Good evening, Mayor Steinberg, council members, staff, Sacramento Attorney Tiffany Clark here, urging you to seize this last opportunity to reject the two inequitable, dramatic, and really unusual fee hikes targeting home businesses or home occupations, including the fee hike to over $5,200 to request exceptions for problematic home occupation regulations, when so many are starting with $1,200 or less in cash on hand, have a difficult time obtaining outside business financing, and are low income or otherwise disadvantaged. And while, thanks to the mayor, council members, and staff, we may soon have fewer problematic home occupation regulations, which my family and I are deeply grateful for, we do still need additional reforms. Case-by-case exceptions will still be needed. And so to dramatically increase an already high fee on top of, for requesting exceptions, on top of increasing the fee that all home businesses must pay by over 50%, would create insurmountable obstacles for many. And so I urge this council to reject those two fee increases and instead focus more on needed reform, including working on an urgently needed amendment that I emailed about, I sent a letter about yesterday, and also attached as an e-comment for the June 25th hearing and vote, hopefully. And in so doing and working on that amendment, I hope that the staff takes full advantage of the expertise of another speaker here tonight, Jennifer McDonald, an expert in home occupation regulations who have helped cities across the nation reform theirs and has offered the city her expertise. She is actually going to speak next, I believe. So thank you so much for your ongoing efforts and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Jennifer McDonald, Alexis Frutos, Dan Allison, then Kay Crum, then Devin Strecker.
Good evening. Jennifer McDonald with the Institute for Justice. We're a national nonprofit organization, and we partner with cities across the country to help them increase access to entrepreneurship by reimagining some of the regulatory regimes that they have for small businesses. So here tonight to talk about why the two fee increases proposed for home occupations will be problematic for Sacramento. We all know that small businesses and home-based businesses are part of that, are crucial for Sacramento's economy. But a recent national survey found that 53% of people who decided against starting their dream business did so in part because government fees are too high. My research shows that half of all home-based business owners start their business with $1,200 or less in capital. And so getting started from home is a really great opportunity for women, minorities, and folks from other disadvantaged communities that have a hard time finding the capital that they need to start a business. So by making these permit fees particularly high for home-based businesses, we would be removing one of the last low barriers to entry options for people to start a business from home without having to invest in incredibly expensive commercial rents and things like that. The increase from $154 to $234 is a 50% increase, and while that might not seem like much to most of the people in this room, it can really make or break a brand new business owner's bank if they're really just trying to get off the ground from home. And then, like Tiffany mentioned, increasing that special exception fee to over $5,000 is incredibly unique. I've done a lot of national research on home occupations, and one of the highest conditional use permits for home occupation fees that I've seen is $1,600. So by increasing this to over $5,000, you're going to preclude a lot of people who really need access to home-based business ownership, and so I would urge you to reject those two fee increases. I'm happy to work with you on other options, and I submitted comments where you can read that research.
Your time is complete.
Thank you very much.
I have 33 more speakers. The next is Alexis Frutos. Following Alexis is Dan Allison, then Kay Crum, then Devin Strecker.
Hi, my name is Alexis, and I'm an advocate with Shine Together, where we support young mothers. I'm also here as a member with ACE. I wanted to say congratulations, Mayor, for successfully coercing school districts to pay your share for the Kids Ride Free program. It really shows your dedication to pretending to care about the young people in this city and this program. All in all, I am happy that the program will continue. The young people I work with are not only students, they're also parents, and they need all the support they can get to obtain their high school diploma. And this program helps tremendously. I am grateful that the school district stepped up for this program. And because they will financially be supporting this program, I am here to demand that those districts have representation on the RT board to ensure that they have a voice. I think it is fair and necessary for school districts to have the opportunity to be a part of the RT board's discussions moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Dan Allison.
Good evening, council members. I'm here on behalf of Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders, one of the transit advocacy organizations. Due to the mayor's negotiation and the efforts of many other people, part of the deficit in the ride-free RT program has been made up. Sacramento City Unified committed. The county has verbally committed. SacRT is verbally committed, but that still leaves $250,000, which has not been committed by anybody yet.
I'm sorry to interrupt your time, but just to be responsive. A letter here dated June 5th, the Elk Grove Unified School District, the Natomas Unified School District, and the Twin Rivers Unified School District have all committed to $250. Specifically, Elk Grove, $50,562, Natomas, $89,644, and Twin Rivers, $109,794. So the $1 million that the city was putting in with tonight's action, $250 from the city, we will have a full $1 million and a collaborative partnership.
And are those school board resolutions passed?
Sac City passed theirs last Thursday unanimously. The RT board passed theirs yesterday, I believe, on the consent calendar. And I don't think formal action has been taken by the other 3 districts, but I have the letter signed by each of the superintendents. So,
okay. So my request is that the city offer $500,000, and if it doesn't all need to be spent, it won't get spent. But I am still concerned, my organization is concerned, that not everything will follow through and the program is at risk. So that's what we're asking, $500,000 from the city. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Kay Crum, then Devin Strecker, then Amy G.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kay Crum from District 6, and I want to start off by saying thank you so much to the budget staff for the city for all the work that you put into this budget. So let's start with the good. I do think that the removing of free parking from downtown as a way to generate revenue is a great recommendation because private vehicles should be paying to park on public roads. I appreciate that free rides to school is going to be a thing that's still around, that the school districts are part of that. I've seen it work to great effect over in my area on 65th as the kids are going to Hiram Johnson, and it encourages children to start investing in transit in the future and using it as well. I think that it's important for us to fund public works, specifically active transportation projects, because there isn't really any funding for that, or not very much. But both of those things save money in the long run by reducing the exponentially growing cost of road maintenance, as outlined in the capital improvement program, and that it also makes our cities safer. You know, as a group, as the Strong Sacktown group, we have several low or no cost recommendations to improve active transportation as well. So let's zoom out a little bit. We need transparent accounting. We need something that everybody can understand, not multiple 500-page documents that are fiscal documents that the average person just can't digest in the month's time. And Sacramentans deserve to be involved in the process more from the get-go. So I was up here last year with the same story, and I think council, we need to be deliberate about our spending and understand that every vehicle that's purchased, every road that's built, every utility line that we add has a lasting maintenance cost, even if the initial funds are considered free from the state or the federal government. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Devin Strecker.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Devin Strecker. I'm Executive Director of the River District and a resident of District 4. I'm here to support the City Manager's proposed budget along with the Mayor's recommendation. I want to thank you for restoring the funding for a MoSAC Museum. That was a big deal for us, so very happy about that. I also love to walk, take light rail, buses. I would bike, but my bike was recently vandalized to the point of being totaled while parked at Old Sacramento, but I will get a new one. I just want to stress that our stakeholders have been very happy with the response from the IMT, which has been incredibly effective in responding to our homelessness crisis. They've removed over 7.7 million pounds of trash from city streets and public spaces, contributing to a cleaner and healthier community environment. The city is striking the right balance between providing outreach to people experiencing homelessness and seeking compliance with city laws and ordinances. The city's core competency is clean and safe, and we do not want to see those services reduced. I speak not only for the property and business owners in the district, but the residents, including the folks at Marisol Village, who constantly are telling me that they don't feel safe walking around their neighborhood. Looking forward to the Dos Rios light rail station coming, so they don't have as far of walk to the light rail station. But just want to stress that we want to continue to fund the Clean and Safe program. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for your comments. Amy G., John Morales, Karen K., and James Allison.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and City staff. Amy Gardner with the Midtown ESAC Advocates. I'm asking you to support the city manager's budget. Public safety must always be the #1 priority in the city of Sacramento. It is the top role of a city government to maintain the safety of its citizens. Please do not cut any more core city services. We cannot cut overtime for SAC PD or limit vacancies. This would equate to fewer officers working to assure people's safety. Cutting overtime and eliminating vacancies would severely affect the incident management team as well. The incident management team has been key to reducing the number of people experiencing homelessness in Sacramento. We need to continue to strike the right balance of outreach and compliance with city laws and ordinances. I thank you for allowing me this time.
Thank you for your comments. John Morales.
I support safe neighborhoods and would like the City Council to keep the police funding intact for patrol units. Police officers are the frontline defenders of our safety, and their presence is vital for maintaining peace, order, and our quality of life. The downtown shootings, the stabbings, and the assaults won't stop if you defund the police. I support the changes to the incident management team and the community service officer additions. 25 FTEs are changing roles, but it's not necessary to cut 15 police vacancies. Now is not the time to defund the police. Consider the facts. Sacramento only has 755 officers, significantly fewer than the 1,190 required to match state and national police sizes. Our population has grown by 11% since 2008, yet our police force remains smaller. Defunding the police by 15 positions when we are already short 435 officers would be a grave mistake. The city needs to bring back the narcotics unit to stop the fentanyl and the meth drug dealers who poison the homeless and create gang wars in our neighborhoods. The downtown shootings, stabbings, and the violent fights are occurring because drug dealers are out of control. The initiative to reform Prop 47 will pass in November. Even Assemblymember Kevin McCarty stopped the poison pill in committee today in support of the initiative. This means Sacramento will need more officers next year to stop all the smash and grab thefts. I support the Sacramento Police Department, and I'm so grateful for their service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Karen K. Following Karen is James Allison.
Good evening. Public safety is at a low point in Sacramento. Our city cannot afford to cut overtime or eliminate any vacancies going toward offsetting overtime for SAC PD. Instead, we expect to see more dollars infused into the police department for things like a dedicated narcotics enforcement team, more traffic officers, more POP officers, and additional training. Our officers do their best to patrol the city with current resources, especially in lower socioeconomic areas hit hardest by crime. Did you know in those areas, those residents thank officers for their police presence to protect their businesses and families? Virtual reality simulation and ride-along experiences should be required for every city council member. Your #1 job is public safety, but you can't support us if you don't get a real taste of what our police officers go through. You'll learn even the most innocent call can turn deadly in a hot second. And I don't mean a 4-hour ride-along on a Sunday morning. Katie Valenzuela did this and didn't learn a thing. She sits up here and disparages our police officers.
Excuse me, point of order.
questions
Speak
their
to the entire
tactics,
council, Ms. Corbs.
criticizes the police chief,
Speak to the
and
entire
fights
council,
to
Ms.
defund the
Corbs.
police. Katie should have spent a Friday or Saturday night in a 10-hour shift in a police car to educate herself properly. It is I won't even do that then. Don't kid yourselves. No one else will step in and do law enforcement's job properly. Defunding only makes our city less safe. Sacramento's crime is up. Just look around. Kate Tibbetts was raped and murdered while I slept in my neighborhood. Kevin Brace was brutally murdered last week while working the night shift. Robust police patrols could have possibly stopped these tragedies, but we'll never know. I beg and encourage you, don't make more cuts to the police budget. We need our police officers. We need more police officers to keep us safe. Lastly, I would like to thank my council member, Rick Jennings, for always supporting the police department and their annual budget. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is James Allison with the Midtown Association, a property business improvement district that represents over 1,200 properties in our central city. Our mission is to make Midtown the center for culture, creativity, and vibrancy in Sacramento's urban core. I'm here today to offer our support for the proposed budget and ask yours in passing it here today as presented. First and foremost, we would like to thank the city manager and staff who have delivered a proposal with a balanced budget which overcomes a $66 million deficit with no layoffs to city personnel and no cuts to core services. As Sacramento continues to face the structural deficit that will impact future budgets, it is critical that we look forward to long-term strategies intended to generate the sustainable revenue that Sacramento will need to maintain vital services. Working closely with the businesses in Midtown has reinforced the reality that economic development of our city will hinge upon the continued commitment to upholding our cleanliness and public safety. That is why it is so vital that the proposal before you today does not include those cuts to those critical services. The reality and perception of safety are paramount in not only attracting new businesses and filling our vacant spaces, but retaining those who already call our city home and keep our streets vibrant. These businesses and the revenue they generate are the cornerstone of Sacramento's tax base. In order to create long-term solutions to our structural deficit, we must enhance this base in order to financially support the city's initiatives across all departments. We applaud the efforts of departmental and city leadership who have created solutions to address our ongoing fiscal crisis while ensuring momentum is not lost. A long-term solution to a structural deficit cannot come from increasing costs and fees. It will come from a healthy and bustling economic environment. Again, we thank you for the leadership in bringing forward a thoughtful budget proposal that balances the fiscal responsibility of our city with what is right for Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. John Gunton, then Kimio Bizette, then Alyssa Lee.
Good evening, council members, Mayor Steinberg, and City Manager Chan. My name is John Gunton. I work for Another Planet Entertainment. We are currently building Channel 24, the new 2,000-plus venue, live entertainment venue at 24th and R Streets. As a resident of Sacramento and employee of a company that's investing in the future of Sacramento's nightlife economy, I'm here to offer my support for the proposed fiscal year budget for 2024-25 operating budget and the objectives prioritized within it. As we continue to face a structural deficit that will impact the future budgets, it's critical that we look forward to long-term strategies intended to generate revenue that the city will need to maintain vital services. The economic development of our city will hinge upon the continued commitment to upholding our cleanliness and public safety. These things are essential for a thriving nightlife economy. That is why continued funding of departments like the police and community response are critical for keeping our forward momentum in making Sacramento a destination of choice for visitors, new investments, and most importantly, residents of Sacramento. We're excited to be investing into Sacramento's vibrant nightlife economy. It's a key variable to the continued and sustained success of this ecosystem is that participants in it have a perception of safetiness and cleanliness. Visitors and patrons want to experience a city that is clean when they feel safe. We believe the city is embracing that desire and working to help fulfill it through its public safety objectives. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Kimio Bizette, Alyssa Lee, then Tucker Gandy.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager Chan. My name is Kimio Bazit, and I am a small business owner in the central city of 20-plus years, and I work as a broker at Turton Commercial Real Estate as well. I'm here today to offer support for the proposed fiscal year 24-25 operating budget and the objectives prioritized within it. I would like to commend the City Council, City Manager, and staff who have delivered a proposal which presents a balanced budget with no layoffs to city personnel and no cuts to core services. In particular, I'm entirely supportive of maintaining the current level of Sacramento Police Department staffing, which includes the use of overtime. I'd like to talk for a moment about expectations. Whether you admit it or not, it's clear that you expect me and my peers to continue to invest in the central city, both by contributing to the tax base, employment, and tourism, and attracting new business. Further, and perhaps most important, it is obvious that you expect us to persevere and to never give up on the central city. So I'd like to be very clear about my expectations. I expect you to match me step for step and to continue to do the same. Let's get this budget passed. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Alyssa Lee, Tucker Gandy, then Suzanne Ansel.
Hello, council members. My name is Elisa, and I'm a resident of District 4 and a member of the Strong Towns chapter of Sacramento. One thing I want to flag is that I do support the move in the budget to end free holiday parking and to increase our parking meters and fees. Space in our city is so valuable, and it should be used for purposes that serve everyone's social and environmental needs and that don't increase driving and congestion. Besides that, I have three main concerns with this budget, which is the lack of funding for proactive life-saving services such as active transportation, transit, and climate adaptation, and instead continuing to keep the high level of funding for reactive, after-the-fact items like the police, which is the largest share, again, of our budget, and has remained with over 175 vacant full-time positions. I just want to say that for me as a resident, I feel most unsafe on our streets because of the sheer number of vehicle fatalities that have occurred in the city. And we are considered the third highest county in the state for vehicle violence. But my main issue with this budget is that it's not an approachable, transparent, or a useful planning document. It's a series of line items for accounting codes, and it really fails to show us why we face this deficit and whether it's going to be a one-time occurrence. It fails to show how much debt we are in, if it's increasing, and what is the true state of our financial health. And because of that, we as the public cannot know how to ensure that we don't end up in the same position again next year, fighting to keep services that save our youth, save our climate. So our budget should be a planning tool to know what projects and programs are costing more than they're serving and who they are serving, who is being served. The deficit is a structural problem of the city continuing to take on more development projects and sprawling and road widening that we cannot afford to maintain, that we have no revenue strategy for. So that is my request.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Tucker Gandy. Gandy, Suzanne Ansel, Vanessa Kudabach, then Kevin Bolts.
Hi, everyone. I just want to start by saying that in the last 24 hours, 3 community members in Sacramento have been killed by automobiles. One person in Arden was a pedestrian. Someone in North Natomas last night was a cyclist, and then someone off 88th and Fruit Ridge as well was killed. So 3 in 24 hours is just kind of an alarming number. I want to echo what Alyssa has said about there not being enough of an investment in the Active Transportation Commission and this being included as part of the budget. Our streets are deadly enough that the Sacramento coroner has created a dashboard to track these deaths. Since 2024, 87 people have, 67 deaths have been recorded due to vehicular violence, and of those, 33 were pedestrians and only 7.4 were cyclists. But make no mistake that this is a general health crisis, and everyone in Sacramento will benefit from us having safer streets for bicyclists. I want to know right now when I leave this meeting that I'm going to make it home on my bike to my neighborhood without being struck by a vehicle, and the fact that I have to know, or that that's in question at all. You know, that's, I don't know, that's just wrong. So I believe that the Active Transportation Commissioners it should have been a greater part of the budget. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Suzanne Ansel.
Good evening, City Council. Good evening, Mayor Steinberg. I see that one of the people that really ought to hear my comments is not in his chair, but I'm going to go anyway. This right here that I'm putting on for display is a breakdown that I did of what it would cost one K through 12 student that attends school in Sacramento City Unified School District. If SacRT were to give them a reduced fare of $125 per ride, twice a day, that's $2.50. Average that to be about 20 days out of the month. That's about $50 a month. Multiply that by an average of nine months out of the year. That's $450 that would be coming out of low-income people's pockets if for some reason this latest scheme of putting part of this for the Sac Ride free program for children, if the school districts can't do it. Mayor Steinberg, I am a parent. My daughter's 21 years old. Well, she'll be 21 in January. I could barely afford this, and I'm a state worker. And you know how the budget works at the state level. If the money's not there at the state level to go down to the schools are not going to be able to put up their portion of the money. This started as a city council project back in 2019, and my personal feelings is that it should have stayed that way. But since it's not going to, I am demanding that the school districts be brought in more than a month beforehand, and that they have a seat at the SacRT table so that they can provide safe, reliable transportation end to end for students. And if that can't happen, it needs to go back to the city council and be fully funded by the city.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Vanessa. I have 20 more speakers.
Good evening, Vanessa Cutterback, parent and teacher in Sacramento. When I first learned that the city manager, Howard Chan, was proposing to cut the Kids Ride Free program, I was devastated that was even on the table. The fact that in an effort to save a measly $1 million, the city was going to come for some of the most marginalized people in our community, young people who do not have a ride, was appalling. Then the fact that the mayor and the city would threaten to cut the program in order to collect revenue from our struggling schools was absolutely absurd. The manner in which this issue has been handled was absolutely haphazard. I heard Mayor Steinberg claim again and again that he had a plan of collaboration. Collaboration is when you call stakeholders together to come to a common solution. I saw nothing of the sort. I saw the mayor announce in the city council meeting that he was going to collect $250,000 from SUSD without first speaking to the school board trustees or the major stakeholders of our schools. Then, when the mayor finally went to the school board meeting, he stood up, asked for the money, and then Mayor Steinberg, you left. You did not stay to hear public comment. You did not stay to hear from the community. You did not stay to answer questions from the school board that they obviously were going to have. If this is your version of collaboration, the next time you want to collect revenue from the city, I respectfully ask that you collaborate somewhere else. The school board trustees did the responsible thing, the only thing they really could do in the position that you put them in. Yes, our school board agreed to pay $250,000 for this year, but make no mistake, this is no longer a city program. This is a program that the city began, but now the school boards, since we are having to sacrifice other kids' programs, we need to have transparency and representation. We need to have the seat on the RT board, and we need to see improvements in on our bus routes. My son takes 2 buses to get to a school that's not very close to our home. There are children waiting in extreme heat, in rain, without shelters. We have bus stops that are not ADA compliant. We need to see improvement in our bus routes, and that would be real collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Kevin Bolts. Kevin Bolts, then Bay Mary.
Business owners in Sacramento are fast, but apparently fascism is faster. I've heard some disgusting rhetoric this evening, so let's clear some things up. Police have no constitutional responsibility to protect the public. That is well established. The safest neighborhoods in this community have the most resources in them, not the most police in them. A 2018 Seattle study showed for every $100 on average rent goes up, homelessness goes up 15%. So if you have a fun little investment called a second home and you're complaining about homelessness, shut the fuck up. As someone who is ardently pro-labor, it is my job to make it clear to people that the electeds do not care about them, that the system will leave them behind, and it will side with capital instead of their needs. It embarrasses me to admit that as much as I love my job, you're way better at it than I am. Far more than my words ever could, your budget speaks tales. A tale of failed MLS bids, of lockstep relationship with developers that has led to skyrocketing rents and soaring homelessness, and an anchor on the general budget known as the Golden One Center, which is the pet project of our mayor, which he moved legislative heaven and earth for. So what does it say when 40% of the budget goes to police, but we can't fund the bus program to make sure kids get to school on time? Where is the funding for youth and activities and engagement? Last Friday, I watched SAC PD attack a group of teens, place a 14-year-old in a spit mask, and also detain 2 civilians cop watching after making a call on the radio to effectively harass every teen in the old Sacramento region. Is this what children have to look forward to all summer? Are police interactions and citations and arrests the only solution we have? You clearly are investing in law enforcement at a time when Cop City is a buzzword across our country. You clearly care about private capital more than people, and eventually the chickens are going to come home to roost. I'll be there when it happens.
If your comments, Bay Miri, then John Vignoshi.
Good evening, Council. My name is Bay Miri, and I've been a SAC resident for approaching 40 years. I've lived in Midtown, Downtown, Old Sac, R Street, and East Sac. I'm urging you to support the city manager's proposed budget. I've been a property owner and developer for 2 decades here. I've developed over 64 for-sale housing units and over 1,000 for-rent housing units at all income levels, including several hundred income-restricted affordable units. I've also implemented over 50 locally owned businesses in the city and several hundred more in the region. Worth noting, this effort took a team the size of a small army and was largely unsubsidized. I'm also a husband and father of 3. But more often recently, I've introduced myself as an urban janitor. There's not an hour that goes by when I'm not resolving issues related to broken doors, glass, litter, trespassing, and vandalism. I've been assaulted 4 times by trespassing burglars with a deadly weapon in the last year alone, including once with a hatchet and once along with my janitor by a naked squatter with a box cutter. I've had a building severely vandalized and faced several years of delay. In recent years, I found myself investing more and more outside the region. I wanted to express my support for item 23 and emphasize the efforts of Brian Pedro and IMT and PD, including Captain Heinlein and Sergeant Duink. Their efforts help ensure that tax revenue generation and expansion continues. Cleanliness and safety are our biggest tools in achieving economic development and our ability to provide more services for all. Many thanks to the city manager and his team for preparing the budget with the preserved priorities. I understand the mayor's point about not cutting things tonight, but I think it speaks volumes that this much of the business community has come out to show how dire the situation is. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. John Vignoshi, Keon Bliss, then Allie Dewar Westbrook.
Good evening, Mayor Steinberg, City Manager Chan, and council members. Thanks for all your hard work on the budget to date. I'm here tonight to support all of your hard work that you've done on this budget. Thank you for maintaining the current levels for public safety and many other important programs that help make Sacramento the greatest place to live in California, and I think the nation. I'm very hopeful about the future of our city, and I'll never leave. I know that might be a disappointment to some of you on the dais and in the audience. But my day job entails developing and managing urban infill, transit-oriented developments. We're building a lot of privately financed affordable housing in the central city. And I'm here to talk about the connection between clean and safe, law enforcement, and increasing housing supply, and increasing the vibrancy of our great city. In order to attract the capital we need to build the housing we say we want, we have to protect the capital we have in the ground. We need to continue the great progress the city has made sheltering our unhoused population, and I want to thank all of you for your hard work on the matter. It's not in your mandate, and you've gone out of your way to shelter the unhoused. A lot of you who I just have disagreements with have done great work on this, so I do want to take time to acknowledge that. In addition, we need to attract residents to live in our urban core. We say we want all these progressive things like riding public transport, urban housing, and more affordable housing. But if we want to achieve these progressive ideals, we cannot do it by having regressive public safety policies and cutting resources for law enforcement. We need to provide law enforcement with the right funding and tools, including reforming Prop 47 to focus on treatment over incarceration, and continue working with the county to establish capitally efficient and dignified shelter and service solutions. Thank you for your leadership bringing forward a balanced budget proposal, given all the headwinds that you face. Even when we disagree, I appreciate your hard work, passion, and dedication to our great city. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Keon Bliss. Allie Dewar-Westbrook. So Keon, Allie, then Jesse Cohn.
You know, Sacramento Police Officers Association president had the gall to mutter under his breath as he passed me by, show some respect. And I'll say this to him and everybody in this room: I will show you respect when you show me respect and not lie to my face, which is exactly what he did when he tried to claim that the department has been defunded over the years. And it's simply not true, based on your own budget numbers. For the record, I just want to make this publicly available. This is the list of approved budgets that the City Council has made since fiscal year 2004. And as you can see from that, in the red right there, that is the proposed budget at $250 million the department is set to get this year. Nothing right there looks like it's defunded. What does that look like in the total budget numbers? Well, according to the budget documents prepared by the city manager, the general fund and Measure U allocations show that public safety is about to get 58% of the budget. But when you break that out just under the general fund, it's actually at 73% of the general fund budget, that 39% of which is going to go to the police department. When you look at Measure U, you'll see that 15% is also going to public safety. 7.3 million of which is going to go to the police department mostly for its hiring pipeline, which, based on as of February, there are currently 175 vacancies. I'm asking for this council to actually shift dollars away from Measure U dollars so that it actually goes to the places that we really need it in, particularly $3 million at least to increase the affordable housing fund that we spend on it, and then cover the cuts that are being made to the Department of Community Response, which is $636,000, and then put $2 million into participatory budgeting process, because as we can, because honestly, I'm going to share this with you all as well.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Our next speaker is Allie Dewar-Westbrook. Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Mr. Bliss, please take your seat. Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Allie Dewar-Westbrook, then Jesse Cohn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Allie Dewar-Westbrook, and I'm a resident of District 4 and immediate past chair of the Active Transportation Commission. The ATC has spent the past several years working to develop a list of 10 recommendations for Council to consider so that we can begin to adequately fund active transportation through the general fund and not be so reliant on competitive state and federal grants that are costly, time-intensive for staff, and have no guarantee of award. The Active Transportation Commission have received overwhelming support from community members and City Council about our recommendations, which would cost the city $10,700,000 for the first year and just over $9 million annually. What's in front of us tonight still does not reflect a city that truly cares about eliminating injuries and serious fatalities on our streets. Sacramento continues to rank among the most dangerous places for people walking and biking in the nation. Just this past week, Smart Growth America released their 2024 Dangerous by Design report that shows our region is among the top 20 most dangerous places for people walking and biking in the entire country. I really want that to sink in for you all. In the top 20 of the entire United States of America, it's that dangerous for people who are walking and biking on our streets. Recently, Sacramento County Coroner also created 2 dashboards tracking fentanyl deaths and motor vehicle deaths. To date, in 2024, 87 people have died due to fentanyl, and 67 deaths due to vehicular violence have been reported. Of those, 33% were pedestrian, and another 7.4% were cyclists. Why are you ignoring this epidemic and not funding it accordingly? How many more people have to die on our streets before you decide to take real action? Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Jesse Cohn, then Murtaza Mehdi.
Good evening, Council. We talk so much about police needing more funding, but why are we wasting money and resources closing and patrolling Miller Park? I live on Broadway, and every day I just want to appreciate the sunset in one of the few areas in Sacramento that we actually have river access. And then every day the police have to come and patrol and kick everybody out, and then they have 2 cop cars that just waste their time there for hours every day just kicking people out and making sure people don't go. So why do we need 2 cop cars? I mean, could you at least use 1? Like, it just doesn't really seem necessary. This isn't like a public safety area of priority public safety. This isn't a residential area. Like, these guys could be in the city patrolling for crime or doing whatever necessary things they need to do. But I just don't really understand why we need to like spend resources to close a park that's on the river that people just want to watch the sunset, like literally. We talk a lot about public safety, but we never talk about the glaring issue of pedestrian deaths in this city. This is a public safety crisis. We're at a 40-year high for pedestrian deaths in the nation, and a person died in Natomas today while on their bike. Council, you guys have blood on your hands. People are dying in the streets. Why do we care so much about police just closing parks when people are like literally dying from vehicular accidents? I think this is a huge priority in our city. We talk a lot about like broken windows and assaults and this sort of thing, but where's the resources for active transit? Where's the resources for bike lanes? Police treat a symptom of the problem. They ticket people for DUIs, but you could just give us bike lanes, and then all of a sudden we would have a lot less pedestrian deaths. So please support active transit. Please support structural changes and not just treat the symptom of the problem with police. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Murtaza Mehdi, then Sean Reardon. Murtaza, it's an M-E-H-D-I is the last name. I don't see movement. Sean Reardon. Deshae Jackson. Is Sean here? Following Sean Reardon is Deshae Jackson, then Kristen Lopez, then Troy Sankey. Please.
Hello, how are you all doing today? And so I'm just speaking as another concerned parent about the transit and just trying to continue it for all, youth and stuff. I know from like before you guys started this, I thank you guys for doing it. But before that, there were so many kids in here hopping the light rail, getting tickets, going to court for it and stuff. And not all these kids are bad kids. They're just trying to get somewhere. They probably don't have the money. Their parents don't have the money to sit here and give them, but they probably still got to get to where they got to get to. I was one of those kids back in the day. I sat here and had to sit here and take the transit to help my mother sit here and get groceries and stuff when she sat here and couldn't, physically get out the house and stuff, And so I have 7 children of my own, it's the easiest way for me to even get around with my children, And so, that's hurt just for all of us to get on the bus at the same time, Yes, and so I appreciate you guys for what you guys done. I just ask that you guys just continue to help our community, help our children, help our city, And so I don't want to see a bunch of kids sit here and get a bunch of tickets and stuff, and then they have to sit here and worry about sitting here having to find a way to pay these tickets, or their parents pay these tickets that they probably can't afford and stuff, and that's on each individual child, And so just imagine if you just got a couple kids doing the same thing, And so I respect all you all here, and I'm just asking you guys just to come together with us on this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I have 10 more speakers. The next is Kristen Lopez.
Hello, Kristen Lopez here, ACE Transit Riders Union organizer. I'm here because the Kids Ride Free program, because it's been pushed onto the school districts to have to pay. It should be paid by the city. It shouldn't even be on the chopping block. And this goes out to really like even all the small business owners that came here today. This is going to affect them if we can't pay for it in a year. If the school districts can't pay for it in a year, what's going to happen? There's like it's like yeah, the school districts have the money now, but what's going to happen if they don't have the money? What's going to happen to the program? Is it just going to go away? Okay, you're saying no, but you're not going to. You know what I mean? Like it you know, or does that mean it's gonna, like the city's gonna fund the entire $1 million if that happens, right? We need to keep this program, not only for the kids, but so their parents can get the kids around town and we can like live, we can like enjoy the city and like, and be able to like pay into it, right? To keep these businesses open, to like be able to thrive. We can all thrive here with this program securely in place. Right? Not right now where it's just like, you know, maybe the schools can pay for it in a year. Who knows? Right? There's so many other things we could have cut. Keon Bliss, thank you for your breakdown of like the part of the police budget that can be cut that isn't even going to affect the police, for crying out loud. It's literally just jobs that aren't being filled. Hundreds of them. So there you go. But that's not your priority. Your priority is to cut the kids program. That's crazy.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Troy Sankey, then April Ybarra, then Jeff Dorso.
Hello, Troy Sankey here, District 4 resident. There's a lot of things I like and don't like about this document. Let's start with the good. When we look at the parking fund for most years, we find that it typically breaks even at about $20 million in both expenses and revenue. On the surface, this sounds like a fiscally solvent municipal venture. However, it ignores significant externalized costs associated with parking infrastructure. This is why I support the Public Works Department proposals for increased parking fees, installation of new parking meters, and elimination of free parking on holidays. This is just to name a few. External costs of parking include the opportunity cost of not putting all that land into more productive uses. They include the residential and job sprawl that excess parking directly induces. They include the long-term maintenance liabilities associated with all the other auto infrastructure that car dependency justifies, and all the environmental harms attributed to car-dominated transportation solutions. Think about the excess rainwater runoff generated by impervious parking surfaces that sit empty most of the time, burdening and expensive to maintain combined sewer system and network of levee pumps. This doesn't even get into the social and health costs incurred by individuals, stifling economic activity. I'm glad that we're starting to price parking to fairly take these externalities into account. Now, I'd like to voice my opposition to reduced allocations for free transit for students. I think public transit is a wealth multiplier. When we put schools on the hook for funding transit, for the students this year, it sets a bad precedent in the long term. This matter is essentially quibble over less than $1 million and a small fraction of the budget. Police are the largest department on the budget. We could reallocate some of the police budget to support free transit and they would barely notice. If we care about safety, let me remind everyone that traffic fatalities outnumber homicides, so let's make sure we keep free transit fully funded and keep kids on trains. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. April Ybarra. April?
Good evening, Council. My name is April Ibarra. I'm a community member in District 6. I'm a parent in Sac City Unified School District. I am here because, as I mentioned at the last council meeting, I do not agree with how the proposal was placed. And just as I assured Mayor Steinberg, I would be at the school board meeting to voice that and let my board know how I felt about that. The community feels the same way. But there's limits. We're limited. We can't speak our voices if we're not invited to the table and if we don't have access in getting to the spaces where the conversations are happening. And so the school district was cornered and they did what they had to do, and here we are today. But you know, it's mind-blowing to me, and it shouldn't be, Mayor Steinberg, that you went and made this request And before you could even take a picture, you were out of that place. And it's crazy to me because that shows a lack of actual interest in wanting to be collaborative. And, waving your hand and making your faces is not, you can do that, but it's just as rude as the folks that come up here and talk off topic and you're quick to let them know to get back, but whatever, you're almost out the door. But the other part of what I'm here to say is the key piece of what he said was collaborative. So I want to know for all of our council rep members, what are you going to be doing moving forward when it comes to collaboration? Currently, we also have funding in the district around community schools. And so this is a perfect way for the city to demonstrate that they do want to actually be collaborative and what that would look like. And just to add to the road safety and for pedestrians and bikers, Eric, can you come hang out with us, in the beginning of the school year so you could see what the traffic is like and how many kids almost get hit daily?
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Our next speaker is Jeff Dorso. Jeff Dorso, then Joshua McHenry.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Dorso. I'm the Senior Vice President, General Counsel for the Sacramento Kings. It's been a long night so far. I just wanted to start out by recognizing the difficult task before the city council and staff. I think, coming up and listening to all the comments tonight, people approach these things from a very divisive standpoint. And I think for all of us, it's one of those lessons, at least, for me, I don't think it's always a question of either or. These things are not this or public safety. These things are sewn together and they're related. You can't say, I'm for the police, but I'm not for this. Like, we're one community and each piece of our social fabric supports the other. So, we talk about economic development. What does that mean? Economic development is how we fund the necessary community functions that we all want. And we do that by having a place that's clean and safe. So I think, listening to speakers, I would sit here and say I'm for all the speakers. I agree with everyone's background. We should have all of, kid funding for RT, and we should have all these things. And we absolutely should have funding for the police. And those things are not mutually exclusive, nor are they at odds with each other. They're absolutely aligned with each other. So I stand here, the Kings, downtown, I look at it like a body can't be a healthy body without a healthy heart. And downtown is the heart of Sacramento. It's what provides the strength for all of our neighborhoods and communities. So we need people to feel safe coming to the community campfire. We need a healthy heart. And I think the city manager and the council has done a great job.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Joshua McHenry. Joshua, then Mo Kashmiri, then Christiane Zamora.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Joshua McHenry. Many of you I've interacted with as I'm an intern here at City Hall in the Information Technology Department for the last 2 years. And I wanted to speak to a relatively small part of the proposed budget and encourage my support for it. And I know that a lot of effort was put in, great part to prevent the use of layoffs to balance the budget. But one program that was at risk for a serious period of time was the internship program that I've been a part of. And I wanted to express my gratitude that that was brought back into the proposed budget and just take a moment to say that that has been an amazingly impactful program for me. It allowed me the financial freedom to not go into any debt and finish my time at Sac State, to move out and live independently, but also to have the experience of working in this fine building with you fine people. And build those relationships and also develop in a lot of amazing ways in terms of leadership and learning technical skills and social skills. And I'm very grateful that that is in the proposed budget and maintained because I know that it's been a huge blessing to me, but also to the number of other interns that have been in that program. And I hope the number of interns who will be a part of it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mo Kashmiri, then Christiana Zamora.
Hi, Council. My name is Mo Kashmiri. I'm a local parent and education advocate. I am very disappointed in the mayor and the majority of the city council. A budget is a statement of our values, and if that's the case, I'm kind of disappointed that our values are that we would cut services when we need more. Instead of regressive budget cuts, we should be increasing services, not cutting off services that our kids desperately need, like SAC RT, and then asking the schools to pay the difference. Where do you think the schools are going to get the money? They're going to cut school services, money that should have gone into the classrooms when we're way behind. If you look at our achievement numbers, it's embarrassing. We have a majority black and brown district, and you're saying they need to pay, that instead of pursuing progressive budget policies that bring in more revenue, we want to cut the services that our schools provide. I think it's shameful. That's the wrong kind of values that I want to see on my city council. I want to see a city council and a mayor that's fighting for more education funding, for better services for our schools, and for better outcomes. Now, I actually yelled at the mayor in the hallway as he was leaving the board meeting in Sac City. And I was talking about there's options of raising new revenue. So in 2021, there was a case in Fresno called over Measure P, which says that we can now raise local revenues with 50% vote if it's done by a ballot measure. So instead of looking at harmful cuts to our community, why don't we look at real collaboration about looking at ways to find ways to pass additional tax and revenue measures by 50% put on through a petition. Obviously, we could ask Doris Matsui to not spend $46 billion and send it to Israel in the middle of a crisis like this. But since we're not willing to do that, we could look at fossil fuel taxes. We could tax new construction of natural gas construction hookups. We could cut the city manager's salary. We could tax single-use plastics. We could look at future soda taxes. We could increase taxes on business. We could get rid of parking holidays. We could look at a mansion and high-value real estate tax.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Our next speaker is Christiana Zamora. Your time is complete. Thank you for your comments. Christiana Zamora, then Santino Zamora.
I'm Christiana Zamora. Measure U was voted on for youth services. That was one of the things, and underserved populations. That was what this was sold on. The Kids Ride Free program, as it currently is, it helps my kids, and as a single parent, I need that. I go to work for here in the city. And the kids use the bus to get back home as well. I'm just trying to make it. It's hard. Money's hard to come by. Someone earlier showed how much money it would cost. There is no extra money to pay for that. And chancing it that maybe the school districts might cover it for 1 year and then they might cut it next year is irresponsible. So any chance that happens is just wrong. And I hear people talking about, the problem in the city is all this crime and this and that. Mental health is what is needed. Mental health engagement with the people, not locking people up. It's ridiculous that, a lot of these drug users, they need treatment, not jail. It's just so ridiculous that that the funds are I work in mental health. I've seen the impact that it has, not just on the individual, but on family members and ripples out throughout the community if they're getting served. So it's just, I look at all this and I just feel like everyone is mislooking at this and police if there's more police, they'll be able to help. People are afraid of the police. They don't want to talk to the police. They want to talk to a clinician. They should have the clinicians there. I think you guys cut that with the police. They used to ride with the police and at least have someone who understood from an actual educational perspective as opposed to someone who just went to high school and then that's it. It's just ridiculous. Take care of your kid. Take care of our kids. This is what it was voted for. It wasn't voted for, to put it into some other slush fund for police or whatever lobbyists are serving you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Santino Zamora, Bella Zamora, then Josie Pepper. These are our last three speakers.
Hello, my name is Santino Zamora, and I'm a high school sophomore. I take nearly the SAC RT or for the Free Rides program nearly every single day. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity that it's free for me and my family and for any other students like me. But I think it hurts the school systems more than it really does help us. And there needs to be more of a budget in our schools. I see all the time that our textbooks are clearly outdated and that opportunities that would be given with more of a budget than rather just making the schools pay would greatly increase our education. as education is really a keystone in our lives, and so we should highly value that, and that is all I have to say for today. So,
Thank you for your comments. Speakers Bella Zamora, then Josie Pepper.
Hello, my name is Bella Zamora, and I'm soon to be a middle schooler. Similarly to my brothers, I highly value my education as it's major to my current life. Schools should not be held liable to pay for the costs of ride-free program, as it should go to the funding of our schools, investing in our futures ahead of us. Additionally, as someone planning to ride the bus with the SAC ride card, I believe it is important for the schools are not to charge as much, considering how much they spend on money, supplies, and education. And I want to thank you all for listening to my voice.
Your comments? Josie Pepper? I don't see Josie. Mayor, it appears we have no more speakers for this item.
All right, thank you very much. I know we'll turn it to the City Council. I want to start, if you don't mind, just to sort of give an overview here. First of all, thank you so much to all the members of the public. It's actually heartening to me to see so many people who come to City Hall for probably the most important thing that we do, and that is pass a budget. And you're right, it does reflect the values of the city as for us as individuals, but also reflecting the members' respective districts and the views of the people of the city overall. And that's not an easy thing, and that's what I want to speak to tonight. I fully support this budget. I think it is sound. I think it is balanced. I think it makes a significant dent in the deficit. And I think that it maintains, between the manager's proposed budget and my letter, a number of the key investments, especially around young people, and I want to get to that in just a moment. But it's interesting to me that the key issues that bring people out with great passion tonight are the police budget and the free ride RT program, and also the issue of active transportation, which, by the way, is a very, very compelling issue. I'm really glad you all came out to continue to put that on the agenda. I think we're going to need a ballot measure, as you say, a countywide ballot measure that really funds safe streets and active transportation to really do that in the right way. But I'll set that one aside for a moment and talk about the police budget and free ride RT. What this reflects tonight, and it's, I think, a microcosm of our entire city, is that we live in this growing city, a diverse city in every way, including sharply divergent views on what should be the priorities of the city. Specifically, the proper role of the police department in a growing city, and whether investments in youth that are new and unprecedented and outstanding, like free ride RT, are core functions of the city. I wish, and I know that we live in these times, and it's not unique here to the city council chambers, it's true throughout our entire country and in the entire world. I wish, and I know sometimes I'm guilty of this, so I'll own my part of it, but I wish that sometimes we could listen better to each other, that we could see the best in one another, and we didn't always chase the dark shadows, right? To assume the worst case scenarios are that somebody is up here or in the audience or in the community trying to do damage. The fact of the matter is we all have strongly held points of view, and they're different. And it's our job here as elected officials. Now, you talked a lot about the city manager's budget, and we have an outstanding city manager, really. Say that once, I'll say it 1,000 times. But it's the job of the elected officials to arbitrate, to balance, and to reflect as close as we can the views of the community. There is a difference on all sides, whether it's some of the business testimony we heard tonight or some of the advocates, between strong advocacy, which is not only welcome, it is absolutely necessary because it pushes and pulls us. There's a difference between advocacy and strong words and the responsibility that we have up here for a limited period of time to govern. It's different, but it's just as important. And even if you disagree with us, I believe it needs to be respected. Let's take the police budget just for one moment. I appreciate the fears about the future. And I do appreciate the fact that there have been some terrible tragedies in our community. Mr. Padilla, I said it publicly, I'd say it again, unacceptable and horrible what happened to the gentleman in front of your business. No, nothing like that should ever happen. And where we can strategically increase our law enforcement resources or deploy them strategically in order to prevent anything like that, we ought to do it. But here's the other fact. Over the last 7 years, and I've been mayor for 7.5, so I can just speak to my time, every single police budget recommended by 2 police chiefs and the city manager has been supported by a majority of the city council, including me, and then implemented. Every ordinance recommended by the chief and the manager and the Department of Community Response to prohibit encampments on sidewalks and their critical infrastructure has been implemented. Oh, and I appreciate Mr. Vignoci, he might have been the only one who mentioned the point in time count. A little bit of news last week. I know it's not, as I said, it's not some great declaration of victory, but a 41% reduction in unsheltered homelessness is worth mentioning more than once. And in fact, it's the underlying numbers, the 84% increase between the city and county in the number of temporary beds that we have built so that we can actually move people off the streets, 29% increase in the amount of permanent housing so that we can permanently house people, in addition to supporting these enforcement ordinances and implementing them, that I think are worthy of note. And sometimes I worry, and it's just me, that we don't sell the positive aspects of our city strongly enough. The problems are real. I know what went on in Midtown last Saturday, unacceptable. And yet, how many weekends is our downtown full with incredible positive activity? How many music festivals Mike Testa and Visit Sacramento and all of you bringing to this city? How come we are above pre-pandemic numbers in terms of destination Old Sacramento? How come there's so much positive activity? The arts and culture are booming like never before. I think that we may be harming our mutual desire to attract more investment by not doing enough to accentuate some of the positive and taking every tragedy and talking about how bad things are. And I know we sit in different places, but we've got to talk a little bit more to each other and not just at each other. And I know I and my colleagues need to do our part better as well. On the free ride RT, city manager made a proposal, okay? I had a responsibility as the mayor to respond to it. And this again is the difference between short-term politics, and taking the hits, and governance, because I made a judgment, and my colleagues will make a judgment in a few moments. I made a judgment, and it may be right or wrong, but I guarantee you that it was in the interest of the kids, and in the program started by one of my best friends in life, Jay Chenier, that this program will stay for the long term if we go out and actually pursue a collaborative partnership. And you can say, well, you didn't give the school district notice. It's pretty amazing to pull off a 6-party agreement in less than a month. And that's exactly what we did. That's governance. And it's my judgment, right or wrong, that next year, and I won't be here and the membership will be different, that this program will stay because it has been spread, because the funding has been spread out. And $250,000 is, yes, real money, but it's minimal enough where I cannot imagine the community with this partnership not funding it. And I worried in good faith that if we just kept it on the city's books with next year's budget deficit, that the outcome might be different. You can disagree with me, but that's what was from my heart and my head, and the difference between advocacy and having to govern. And that's true of this entire budget. You talk about youth funding. You know what we restored in this budget? We restored $1.59 million of investment in local youth programming when we had a $66 million deficit. We restored all the fee waivers and all of the scholarships for young people to use community programs and community centers. We funded the Fuel Network, thanks to Eric Guerra's championing this. And thanks to all of the input from my colleagues who represent you, all of you, we restored everything that came up here. So this is not perfect, and it's not a perfect process. But I just urge us all, I know, and as you said, ma'am, yes, I'm soon out the door, that we try harder to not be in camps, that we try harder to talk to one another. I know we endeavor up here to do that. And that we try to step in each other's shoes, and that we at least acknowledge the difference between strong advocacy, which you're right to do, and what it takes to arbitrate and resolve all of these difficult questions. And I think we did so in a good enough way, not just tonight, but over these last number of months. Thank you, Mr. Coletto. Thank you to your Murthala. Thank you to your teams. Thank you to my members. Thank you to the city manager. Thank you to the community and Measure U Group and everybody. And this is where we land. I urge an I vote. Okay? Councilmember Valenzuela.
Wow, that's a tough speech to follow. Thanks,
Sorry.
Mayor. But I do think it's so true, because I've always said that I believe we all want the same thing. We all want safe neighborhoods. We all want kids to have opportunity. It's really just about how we get there. And I want to really appreciate Jeff Dorzo for naming that we're a body and downtown is the heart. I love that analogy, because you're right. Like, we can't live without a heart. We need a healthy heart, but the heart also can't live on its own. And one of the things that I'm most proud of, some of the changes that have been made in this, both through the city manager's changes and through the mayor's changes, to keep things like the neighborhood development action teams that have been doing work in North and South Sacramento, to fund digital equity and language access, to put significant money into fine and fee waivers and scholarship programs so that everybody has opportunity and access to opportunity and assistance, and to do things like the intern program, which I'm so glad our intern came tonight to talk about how important that was to him. That was like such a beautiful moment. And I really want to thank, the city manager and the team for all of the work you did in this budget, because I asked a lot of questions, and I can honestly say that this is my fourth and final budget. And I really do think that this is the first time that I've fully understood all the money and where it's going. And I just want to thank you for taking time to follow up on all of these requests, because it was incredibly helpful. I have just a couple of suggestions for my colleagues to consider. And believe it or not, they are in furtherance of things like public safety. And this is when I think about how we get there is so important. So one of the things that I learned in the data that was provided was I got a better idea of how much money we spend with police officers and how many officers we're redirecting from calls for service to do encampment outreach. It's 17 sworn positions, and it's about, my rough math was about $3 million. I think I was very conservative on that, between staff salaries and benefits and overtime that I saw in here, $3 million that we're spending doing things. They're doing things that they should be doing. They're not designed to do. I don't want them to be standing next to the encampment that isn't committing a crime. I want them to be able to respond to the call when a crime is being committed. And so one of the things that I'd like, and I know right now, because the mayor gave a wonderful state of the city talking about what it would look like to have a 911 arm that could respond to the non-criminal calls, the non-medical calls. And I'm naming that because in most of the major incidents that have happened with someone who is either unhoused or mentally ill in my district, they didn't go from 1 to 100 in a snap. right? Like this was somebody who was usually in crisis for a bit, wandering through the streets, acting erratically. Something was going on. They were in crisis that eventually came to the point where they intersected with somebody that they hurt. But this was not somebody who just randomly sprung into action usually. This was somebody who we knew something was happening. And right now we don't have anybody who responds to that. To somebody to say, hey, in real time, this isn't a 311 call where I'm saying, hey, there's an encampment over here that needs outreach. This isn't a criminal call. They aren't breaking anything, but something's wrong. And I need somebody to come out. Because right now, the people absorbing that are the front store businesses in the district. You know, they're the ones watching the people in crisis and wondering, hey, something is off here, but they don't have anybody to call. And so your idea, I think, to look at fire and to work with fire, to stand up, you know, maybe a few of our ambulances to be available for that, you know, whether it's with a social worker or something else, is something that I really want to see implemented, because it will help us free up those impact officers who are currently using $3 million of the police budget and 17 sworn positions to respond to things that they might not need to respond to as much if we stood up this other program. So the idea that I want to pitch to this team is to give the city manager direction, because I know there's a lot of questions still being worked out about how the system would work, but once we're ready to really think about how to shift those resources just from impact to standing up the real-time response. I'm not saying eliminate impact necessarily. I'm just saying, you know, there's $3 million there, there's 17 positions. It would free up sworn officers who we have a shortage of to go over into actual response, and it would give us the resources maybe to stand this up when we're ready. So this is a consideration that I just want to put in terms of direction. Let's figure this out.
To look at it.
To look at it. The other thing that I want to look at is the internal affairs cuts. And I know we talked about this today. What's so important and what I've learned about OPSA, our Office of Public Safety and Accountability, is that they don't do investigations. They oversee the investigations. So if IA doesn't finish the investigation, they can't really start until IA finishes, because that's what they're looking at, right? Like they're not the ones going in and investigating somebody, because that would be against a lot of rules. They're the ones looking at the investigation conducted and saying, hey, we agree, we disagree, et cetera. I know that there's a backlog in IA, and so it worries me that some of the positions that we're proposing to cut in this current budget are IA positions, and I would like to consider with my colleagues that we direct PD to keep those IA positions and to find those position reductions in other vacant positions, because I think it's really important we keep those IA positions. We've put a lot of money into OPSA so that they can get more timely in their review of complaints, and that doesn't work if they don't have the people on the PD side who are reviewing the complaints so that they can get their work done as well. So that is another change that I would like to suggest. And then finally, in terms of direction, I really want to thank like the Strong Sacktown and other folks who came out who talked about vehicle death. It is higher than homicide. I'm going to say that again. Like, we have more people dying on our streets from vehicles than from murder. This is insane to me, because what we know how to do is how to design streets to make them safer. We know how to put interventions in place so that that's safer, but we aren't investing in that. And what happens when we don't invest is it just gets more and more expensive. The longer we wait to maintain that road and to do those sidewalk improvements, not only is it remain unsafe because it's an old design and we can't implement the new changes, we're actually increasing our costs down the line. I have a sinkhole right now in my district on 5th Street. If you live anywhere in that area, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know if that was a deferred maintenance issue or something else, but these are the things like Southside Park Pool, great example. It would not have taken this long or cost this much if we had been able to afford to maintain it more regularly. We would have caught that before it became a critical failure. We would have been able to improve it earlier, and now we're having to move heaven and earth to get this pool reopened, but we didn't need to. And so I really do want to think about a strategy, and maybe it's with our city treasurer, around what does it look like for us to be proactive on deferred maintenance. And this comes up every budget since I've been on council. Like, what does a strategy look like if it's investments, if it's, you know, something that we can do to try to get ahead of this curve? And I know a county ballot measure and funding from the county would be great, but we don't know if that's coming anytime soon. And I hope it is, obviously, but if it doesn't, we can't really afford to continue to wait to do these projects, because people literally, it's not just affecting the businesses and the residents, it's affecting people's daily life. And then on ride-free RT, I appreciate the frustration, but I do want to commend the mayor, because as you said, you know, getting a 6-party agreement in a month, I've like never seen government move that fast, and so I do want to applaud you for that work. I do want to make sure that people remember, though, that we are not done with youth investments tonight, because we haven't even talked about Measure L. We haven't even talked about Measure L. So we have millions and millions of dollars that are accruing in a city account, and the YPSI team is currently working with our Children's Fund Commission to actually make a strategic plan around investment, but there are tens of millions of dollars that are there now that will be there every year. And so I do want to make sure additional direction to the city manager is that if for whatever reason any one of those partners falls through, or if for whatever reason that program isn't going to be funded, that you're alerting the council and you're alerting the Measure L Commission. Because I think it's a conversation that should be had, and I encourage the stakeholders from Ride Free, if you're not already engaging in that commission process, to do so. They're doing their plan right now, and this is the perfect type of project for that because it's so equity driven. We have all of the data on how many kids are using it, and it would be a really good fit potentially for us to maybe bring that level of funding back up from $250,000 in collaboration with the commission if we can make the case for how it's meeting the needs and goals of Measure L. But those are my suggestions, Mayor. It's really mostly direction to the city manager around considering shifting impact team resources to the real-time response system and those officers back into daily beat work, to not eliminate the IA positions and to look at other vacant positions so that we can keep that work flowing, to have a strategy on deferred maintenance, and to notify the council and the Children's Commission if for whatever reason any of the stakeholders around Ride Free RT start to flounder or fall through. So those are mine.
So before we leave the council, I think it would really be appropriate to have one more workshop on the whole alternative response question, right? Yes. Just to really talk about this, because it's in terms of post-budget, like what's it going to take, right? I'm not comfortable tonight making shifting decisions necessarily, but I do think that we should commit tonight to actually having a community and council workshop on the alternative response questions so that together, because it's easy to get lost in the midst of the day-to-day struggles and the activities. And you're right, the original intent when we started DCR was to do exactly what you suggested, and it's become our homeless response out of necessity. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't all take stock together as a team and figure out what it's going to take to move in the original intended direction.
Can I just chime in for a second? I know there's other people chimed up. The alt response piece, I absolutely agree and understand what your request is. We've been working with the fire department to look at what this looks like, but also we have an obligation to meet with our labor partners.
Of course.
To talk about what that looks like.
Yes.
And if we're talking about looking at what an alternative response using fire looks like, I would suggest instead of or, and. So not at the expense of the police department and the impact positions, but look for resources within the budget on a go-forward basis to fund that. Because I think the need is great. The demand is, you talk to Brian Pedro, he hasn't slept for a year. And, we have to have our police officers there with DCR, with IMT. It's a safety issue. And so I would say that we should look at it, but not or, I think and.
Well, so, and I appreciate that. And yeah, Brian has gotten the elected official experience of not being able to go to a barbecue without talking about homelessness. So welcome, Brian, to our life. I will say that part of my motivation for this is that I don't think officers, right now, when you look at the vacancies in the department, I would rather, from a practical perspective, have those officers doing call response than sitting around with fire. And the reason I say that also is because fire is already trained. Like, they already know when they need to call for backup. They already know how to assess situations. So I just want to put that as like a placeholder for this conversation, because I think when I read that there were 17 filled positions dedicated just to impact, I was like, oh my goodness, like that would almost not double. It would be like a 50% increase in the number of officers who are available for actual shift coverage. And when you think about the structural issue the department's facing, where they need all this vacancy savings for overtime, I mean, we're exhausting people. And I think the POA guy said that himself. So like, if we could free up those folks and move them out of homeless response, I just want us to be open to that conversation, because I think strategically it's going to make the most sense for our city right now.
Absolutely open, going to talk with our labor partners, but also I want to make sure that this council remembers that we have a $5 million authority that you have provided me for IMT to stand up that's not accounted for in this budget. And so that the vacancies you talk about, others have mentioned, we're counting on those vacancies to be able to continue to fund IMT and the great work that they're doing. So I think it's an and discussion.
Yeah, no, but all I think we need tonight, and I appreciate it too, would be a commitment that we work together on agendizing an afternoon workshop for sometime in the early fall where we flesh out all of these possibilities, or the end.
Yeah, I agree, but again.
You got to talk to the labor.
We have to talk with the labor partners.
They ought to be they need to be at the table here with us, Ryan, and everybody else. Buttercup, we need you to participate in the,
I think they already are. And so I think that's, for me, is like, that's a policy decision, right? And so that's part of what I'm hoping we can talk about is like when I
It's actually a legal decision whether or not we can bring something forward to the council without the support of our labor partners.
That would be a great analysis for you to bring to a workshop, so that we can understand the dynamics at play and really make a decision. But, when I see 17 sworn positions being used for encampment outreach, my brain immediately goes, that's not where those folks belong. And that money and those resources, we could be moving them into some of these vacant positions and using those resources to help stand up a support system. It's something we talked about as a council when we had the presentation from PD and Fire and DCR about just how overburdened they are by responding to these calls. And so I think it's strategic. We're only going to break the cycle if we do something different. And I think IMT has been helpful, but I don't think we've gone far enough because I see a big gap in response when we have crises in the central city. And I'd really like for us to be serious, because every year since I've been on this council, every single budget, we say next year. Every single budget. And in the meantime, we're continuing to get calls from businesses who are rightfully frustrated that their staff is having to essentially act as that social worker and de-escalator because there isn't somebody available real time to help with that. So that's my point, City Manager. I appreciate you disagree. Those are my directions, though, that I'd like for the colleagues to consider. So thank you.
And one last piece, and I'll let it go. We do have an obligation to meet and confer before we talk about how we deploy our resources and our employees in advance of having those conversations. So that's my only point.
That's why it's direction.
What? Direction to me, but I cannot direct our labor partners.
I will commit to working on a workshop that respects the law and our labor partners to make sure that we can discuss as a council and a community the original vision. And I'm not critical, because we've used DCR to make this huge difference on homelessness. That's the way I see it. And we want to see what it's going to take to pivot going forward to create the original vision. So it's I'll talk to each other and work on this. I think it's okay. Councilmember Kaplan.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, as we adjourn tonight, I'd like for us to adjourn in Kevin Brace's honor.
Of course.
If it could be so.
Yeah, of course.
Is the will. I want to thank staff as we've thanked Pete, but I think I want to take a brief moment and also thank all of our staff and everybody in the audience. While we thank our fiscal team, I also know the work that our charter officers have put in, from Mindy and Susanna and Coville and Farishta and Dr. Watson and your teams. And I look at our park staff and our police and our fire and our public works and code and everybody, that this affects your job every day, and the work that you do, and our arts and economic development, everybody. This is the heart. When Mr. Dorso talks about downtown being the heart, actually it's the hearts in the chambers right now. When we look at our budget staff and how we run the city, and the services that we get, because these are people. So, Pete let us know we've got, and I'll take this. This was an easy budget. While we had budget cuts, we have to understand that we have structural deficit for the next 4 years. 77.6 million estimate next year, 87.4 million in 26-27, 98.6 in 27-28, and 117 plus potential million in 28-29. So while I am glad that we addressed the $66 million deficit, I think we could have done potentially a little bit more, because guess what? Next year, we're going to have to cut people. This was easy. We saved people. I don't know how, even if we get money from the state and it becomes a $50 million deficit, how we cut where our services stay the same, and we protect our employees, and we pay them what they deserve. I think we have to be honest with ourselves that while this is the hard work of adopting a budget this year, I want to potentially have our council members think about it. We have in front of us 4 years of a huge structural deficit that next year, as we discuss the 25-26 budget, we should look at how are we addressing the structural deficit for 26-27 as a 2-year process. Because if we don't start addressing the out years, the out year deficit will continue to grow unless for whatever reason we get more influx of one-time federal funding or whatever else. And I know budgets are a living document, and it could be our deficit next year for whatever reason for taxes is only 35 million. But it doesn't address the out-year structural deficits that I really hope that we can take a look at, city manager, as we start preparing, because I think we really do need to, how do we look at the out years and try and maintain services and protect our employees? I am in support of kind of the mayor's position. I don't, on budget night, feel that it's appropriate to make changes where we've had a several-month process that items and discussions could have been brought up. I think it's appropriate to continue those discussions for another time, policy-wise, look at it. I am very supportive of how do we address the issues that I know a lot of our firefighters and police officers are addressing with our unhoused. Is that the right method and the right way? Because other cities are doing it differently. And what does it do, and does it potentially free up resources? But I think we need a little bit of time to do that, and I fully believe we can have a workshop and have that conversation. You know, our community partners and our labor partners will be there to have that conversation. I think it comes, whatever we decide implementation is something slightly different. Safety has always been the #1 issue in our communities. The core of you want safety in your house, you want safety in your business, you want safety on the street, you want safety in your family and everywhere else. It's the we just have to figure out how can we come together and address safety. Neither one way is right or wrong, but how do we do it better to address the needs that we have in our community, while at the same time knowing that we have a budget deficit. We still need to build more affordable housing. We need to address the unhoused on our streets. We need to invest in our employees. And we need economic development. And it should be noted, the city council tried. We put a BOT increase on large businesses that did not pass. And I hope, again, we can take a look at that, maybe get rid of all the fees for all licenses and just do a BOT adjustment going after big businesses, separate the two, because that was, I think, the license fee, the issue that put it on the table. And I agree, Mayor, we totally do need to look at what we do for affordable housing and transportation, because the death this morning was a gentleman in my community. And we're talking North Natomas, and I've had 3 bicycle deaths this year. You know, not just the investment of, we look at Slow Down Sacramento as downtown. Look worldwide. Look at what Amsterdam, look at what Paris has done. We need to remove vehicle lanes. We need to slow them down. We need protected bike lanes. We already know what works. We just have to figure out a way and make that a priority. And I can tell you by now, if you're a developer, that's required if you come into Natomas. So just heads up, don't expect anything different. So I think we've done as well as we can. I do support the chief's nighttime safety team. I think we do have to look at, because it is of concern and a question that I asked, if we are switching our auditors, making sure that OPSA is still getting the information they need, and because we do need to work better together. I think when we have increased transparency, our community starts having more trust in our police. I know it's a fine balance, but I hope that we can find ways to do that, because I believe we can address the heart of the issues if we can try and take some of the politics and internal drama that might come with it, and just address the heart of the issues, that we want safe communities and transparency to make sure that there is accountability on everything we do. And I want to say, Thank you, Mayor, for getting the districts on Ride Free come together, because I can tell you, you and I had conversations about that. And I will tell you, I am extremely appreciative of Natomas Unified Superintendents and Twin Rivers. I reached out to them, and without hesitation, they understood that these are their children, and we have to partner together. And while it is difficult for everybody, they are on board and realizing that school districts must invest with the city. Well, I believe the city still has a stake in the game, and we have to invest in our youth because they use it to go to our public libraries and our community centers. So I appreciate moving that forward. And as a member of Regional Transit, we approved that on Monday. It is a program that RT is fully invested in. And here's where I see, when you talk about partnerships, of how we can do it better. We need RT to start meeting with our school districts. Where are the bus lines? And because school districts are having shortages with hiring appropriate bus drivers. So how can we partner together where, if we know this program, we can use appropriate routes to make sure kids are getting to school in efficient manners, while school districts then using money that they may have for hiring a bus driver to help invest in this program for the appropriate routes. I think it's a balance where we can do better on this, and this is just the beginning. So know that this is something you helped start.
Thank you. And if I may just, the other thing I forgot to mention, there's other joint use opportunities and other partnership opportunities. And this is a potential model for that. We ought to have much more robust joint use, schools as community centers as education facilities, so much more after-school programming together on sports and arts. And there isn't enough of that. And maybe this is a model to enhance that.
Mayor,
so.
I fully agree, because I can tell you as a school board member, that was frustrating for me that there wasn't more partnerships between local government and school districts as we were doing it. And then just as I wrap up, it's hard when I look at our deficit, and it's structural, but a lot of our deficit is coming from increase in retirement and healthcare costs and, liability insurance and increased in technology. And how do we look beyond that? And are there other jurisdictions that are finding ways to pull together? And how do we work with the state? Because truly, honestly, such an increase of 30% over 4 years for CalPERS, how do we get the state to understand and help us? Because we're not the only local jurisdiction that is having to deal with these massive increase in costs. But with that, I do support the city manager's budget he proposed and the council members' input on it that created what it is today. So thank you.
I've got Councilmember Vang.
Thanks, Mayor.
Did I miss somebody on the queue? Okay.
No, it was me. Fixed it.
Okay. I'm still in training here.
7 years.
Thanks, Mayor. First, I just wanted, again, just to thank Pete and all of our city staff for your hard work to get us to this moment. Tonight will be my third budget that I'm going to be voting on tonight, and really just want to take a moment just to thank city staff for their endless nights to get us here. I also want to thank all the speakers who came out today on all sides, no matter where you fall on the spectrum. Really appreciate you coming out here, speaking your truth, and I just want you to know that, well, at least I did. I think, and I would say my colleagues really sat here and listened to you. And I just want to share with all of you that your voice and your advocacy does matter. And it makes a huge difference on how we vote and how we make decisions. So thank you so much for coming out on a Tuesday night. It's 8:31 and you're still here with us. So I just really want to say thank you. And then I also want to thank the mayor again for his leadership and taking the time to listen intently to his colleagues and submitting his budget letter 2 weeks ago and doing his best to incorporate our ask, the needs that we see in the community, and submitting that to the city manager. Also want to thank the city manager for adding some of the mayor's asks to restore some of the programs, right? You presented a budget and it was up to us to decide what we're going to do, the trade-offs. So appreciate that the language access coordinator is back in the budget, which we approved last year, and hoping that we can implement this as soon as we vote, if this council approves it. I often say, you know, we could protect our core city services, but if our diverse community can't access those services, what good are we as a city? And so making sure we have that language access coordinator is absolutely important. Also, restoration to the NDAT. I really appreciate the mayor flagging that as well. They do such important work in reaching our underserved neighborhoods and communities. So great to see that back in the budget. And while I may not be a big fan of this, I appreciate the alternative on the table to provide scholarship to mitigate fees towards the increased fees. I know that is going to be another barrier for our youth in our communities. That just means that we're going to have to really step up on those scholarships to make sure that our most vulnerable youth and community members can actually access that scholarship, right? And so I think we're going to be monitoring that to see how it goes. It's not perfect, and I know I will share, I'm still struggling right now because I still feel like this budget doesn't go far enough, but I actually do believe that staff has done their very best. City Council, we're deliberating in this moment, and I just want to speak a little bit about public safety, because I think after all of the 50-plus comments, public safety was probably the number one thing that I heard as a major theme tonight from our local businesses, to our activists, to our youth. And like many members of our community, those that came out today, I too want a clean and safe city, right? Residents calls my office every day regarding illegal dumping, ensuring our parks have lights, equipment for our seniors, more tree canopies, more programs for our youth and seniors. And I see all of that actually as public safety. So just stay with me for a little bit, because I think my comments are going to be about public safety. In this budget process, I just want to remind folks, I don't have the survey in front of me, but we also did a public survey when we were going out into the community. And the top priority for the community, when you asked the community, and it was a citywide survey, their top priority was public safety. When you ask the community, given the constraints of the budget, if they had to make decisions to cut, the community ranked PD as first. I'm just taking a moment to share the survey because, one, we spent money doing the survey, and I think it's important that we take time just to pause as elected, as leaders, to also reflect on the community's response to the survey. Before I was here, the City Council passed a resolution, before I was a council member, in October of 2020, expanding the definition of public safety to not only include PD and fire, but also active transportation, parks, and youth, right? And while we can all agree that emergency response from PD is only one aspect of critical resources, I'm not saying that's not important to public safety. I think that's critical to public safety, but it can't be the only thing to public safety. If you look at research over and over again, from any university, they will share with you that investment in social safety net programs, in affordable housing, in active transportation, you heard from members tonight, in access to healthy, accessible food, quality education, all of these things lead to safer and healthy communities. Community investment is public safety, and I just want to say that again, because I think oftentimes that gets lost in the message when we're just talking about PD, right? For me, the model for public safety does include PD, but it also includes strengthening communities and expanding our safety net programs. I appreciate the mayor also being very balanced as he is and sharing the data, because folks will come up here and say, hey, the city has defunded the police, right? You haven't supported PD. But every budget cycle that has come around, this mayor and this council, the majority vote has supported that budget. And you saw the mayor mentioned this, PD's budget has increased every single year. But we don't see that in our youth, our parks, our infrastructure, our active transportation, and I think that's important. And so, yes, I hear next year we're gonna even have a tougher time. It's gonna be 77 million. But if we're gonna keep doing the same thing again, we're gonna be back here again. And I just think, like, in this moment, and I appreciate the work that we're doing on the Racial Equity Committee, in this moment now, it's more important than ever for us to have a better understanding of how our budget decision actually impact our most vulnerable communities. Obviously, as an elected official, we listen to our community. We make those decisions based on our own lived experience, right? But it's also gonna be really critical, and I know we're doing that work right now, to build capacity of staff to really look at our programs, our budgeting from a racial equity lens. And if we really did that, I believe, I can only speak for myself, if we really budgeted from racial equity lens, I don't think our budget would wouldn't reflect the budget that we have today. And so I'm still struggling if I'm gonna vote yes or no. I voted yes one time on our city budget. I voted no all the other times. I'm still in a place where I appreciate we have some strong programs that we're going to be able to save if this mayor and council approves this budget, but I still feel like this budget still falls short of addressing community needs. And really just wanted to share that I'm still struggling, not sure how I'm going to vote yet. Appreciate all the hard work that we've gotten here, but until we do something different, we're going to be back here again. So thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Vang. I've got Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes.
Thanks, Mayor. For everyone that's here tonight, I know you love Sacramento. That's why you're here. And I really appreciate your input and coming up here and doing public comment. It means a lot to us. We're passing a balanced budget tonight, and so thank you so much to the staff that helped us get here tonight. But next year, we're not going to have the luxury of one-time funds that were available to us this year. We'll have more cuts, and we really do need to look at ways to increase our revenues. I'm hopeful that we'll get the HHAP funds from the state to help address our homeless crisis, but it's not guaranteed. We don't know how much we're going to get and whether we'll get it next year. So it's going to continue digging a bigger hole in our budget. So for everyone that's here, I encourage you to stay connected with us, stay in touch with us, because we need your help, your creativity, and your passion. We have many years ahead of us where our budget doesn't look good. Peter and everyone, and Lainey, everyone, Marthella, everyone here is going to have to say, hey, all hands on deck again. So just stay tuned, and as we as a council pass ordinances and have wonderful ideas for our community in the months to come, we need to make sure that we look at the fiscal impact before we pass any policy or any legislation that will contribute to our ongoing deficit. So thank you so much for everyone for being here tonight.
Thank you so much. The city manager would like a word, but there's not a motion yet on the floor. And here's the motion I would hope to entertain, would be a motion in support of the budget, but adding the direction to both the mayor and the council and the city manager to have a fall workshop that really dives into the whole issue of alternative response and include our labor partners in all the appropriate legal and policy ways. I think that would be appropriate, and I hope Councilmember Vang that might convince you that we'd get a head start then next year on maybe it's going to be a necessary conversation. I mean, we're going to get the HAP funds. So then I believe. And so then you're
I'll
going to
make that motion,
okay,
I had a question.
approving the budget with the direction of.
with
a
my
forward.
direction. Okay. Oh. That's a second by Councilmember Talamantes, Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes. Okay. We can take questions. I know, City Manager, do you want to go first in terms of?
Yeah, I just-
Councilmember Valenzuela had a
Just
comment.
very quickly here, I want to key in on something that Councilmember Kaplan talked about. So this is an easy budget. I think it's easy relative to what we're going to have to do next year. I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that while the budget team and all the staff you see out here in the audience have been here before this council probably 6 or 7 times maybe, we started this work back in August, September of last year. And it culminated in us getting to the council for this priority setting discussion, and then an offsite, and then all the countless hours and months of the people you see in here, and many people who are not here. So I just want to make sure I acknowledge everyone in the audience. I know several of you have already, but they've been here all night with us. It's been a long night. It should not go without saying.
Give it up. Come on, for the team. I'm glad you did. Thank you, Howard. I'm going to make one final comment, but Councilmember Valenzuela.
Yeah, Mayor, I had also asked about the IA positions shifting to other vacancies.
Let's include that in terms of a workshop discussion. I think that's appropriate, okay?
Also not in this motion.
Well, no, we're not going to make the decision. No, I don't think that there's support to actually make that decision tonight.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. Councilman Guerra, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to, City Manager Chan here made the recognition, I think, for our hard staff here, but I also wanted to make one last thank you here, and this is your final budget on the City Council, so I do want to thank you for, in the years where we've had a lot of resources and in the challenging time, for being able to pull us together here. I think this is a good example of how to start us on a good path to the next tough years ahead. So just wanted to personally thank you for this. And I think also, I know that there was a request here to add more to the direction, but some of these, just from my recommendation to the colleagues, I think some of the process improvement stuff is appropriate, but we should probably handle that through the Budget and Audit Committee as the years go through. So I appreciate the original motion, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could have a second, another second. I am remiss in not thanking you as well. This will be our 7th budget together, and we didn't always see eye to eye on things, but we always hammered it out just like we did this year. I appreciate you pulling this memo together that reflects everything you've heard from your colleagues, and it really helped set the tone for us to get here today, so thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you. Did you have another comment, council member? Go.
No, I thank you for the back and forth. Man, I was really hoping this was going to be the first year I got to vote yes on a budget. I wish we could include those IA positions in this. I was going to stretch a little bit with the workshop commitment and some of the other commitments today, but for me to invest that much in OPSA and then to allow PD to cut the very positions that are essential to the proper functioning of OPSA is... And I mean, I hate that we keep putting ourselves in this position where we say it's a voting item, but we can't make any changes, because that's like literally our job, is to make potential amendments to a budget.
So let me just ask one question before we put it to rest, because respect your passion, what you're trying to do here. What is the cost of those IA positions?
Well, to be clear, I was proposing swapping them.
I know you're
for other
proposing swapping, but I was gonna. You wouldn't want to just restore the IA positions at this point. You don't want to.
Because I don't assume we could afford
Well,
that.
that's what I was asking. That's what I was asking. What the
Yeah,
cost is.
so, Mayor, that reduction strategy is about $960,000.
Hey, please, we're trying to debate and have a serious discussion up here. And so, Mr. Coletto, we, of course, there was a $3.8 million factor in there, and my memo did not restore the full 3.8. So what is the
Correct. There's about 500,000 of EUR that contribution that was not committed in your memo. So about 500,000.
Plus there was a carryover, wasn't there?
There's a carryover of about $800,000.
That's $1.3 million. It's a carryover, and we do need that for next year. Understood. It's not free money. It goes to next year. But I mean, for now, I assume you'd want to consider restoring half of those positions now without a swap and getting to the broader question of the vacant positions, the DCR, the alternative response in the fall with a full intensive discussion about how we do that going forward. I'm trying to read the room and I'm trying to see what we might accomplish, because on its own, restoring some of those IA positions we'd all want to do that. That's part of what we heard from our OPSA director today. But I could see an amended motion that would restore half of the IA positions without a swap, just restoration. But that's up to you.
And restoring them would be ongoing.
I understand. But, we're trying, part of this is accountability here. And
Mayor, are you asking for an amendment to the motion?
I'm asking Councilmember Valenzuela whether I'm trying to read the room and the votes here. I'm asking Councilmember Valenzuela whether she would be interested in a pure restoration, I would say, of half the IA positions. I wouldn't go the whole way. And that would be $450,000 out of the 900, which would still leave a balance going forward. It's up to, I'd take Councilmember Valenzuela's lead on that question. And if not, then we should vote.
Go ahead, not Mayor Pro Tem.
I mean, I think increasing our police department budget so that we have more accountability, transparency, and a better working relationship with OPSA is worth digging into the 1.3 or the
That's
EUR.
the question I'm presenting.
I'm okay with that. Let's move forward with that.
But It's I don't want to, we're this close to a budget, everybody.
We are this good, but we're adding something new in without a longer conversation
but
with
it's
the
just,
chief. I want the chief to come up.
I know, but I'm not agreeing with because I read the room, I'm not agreeing to any kind of swap. Okay, this is just a pure question of restoration of accountability resources. That's all that it is. So I don't think the police chief would object to that, would you, if that were? You do? Come on up. Ask. Okay.
I think it's.
What's that?
This is definitely a longer conversation.
Well, we're not gonna.
It will be because she's gonna go into it.
No. I'm sorry,
but there are resources that don't.
Okay.
Well, I just want to be clear because we have 5 years of data. I know I spent a considerable amount of time going through the reasons for proposing the position changes. If the positions were restored, I don't believe it's efficient. And we have looked at all of our processes. If you remember, in 2019, DOJ had a number of recommendations, and we changed our processes because we didn't have really the right structures in place at that time. In the last 5 years, we've done a number of things. We've established a force investigations team. We have increased the staffing in our policy and our professional standards unit from 2 in 2016 to 6 in 2019 to now we have over 34 positions. We also have the constitutional policing team, which is our IST team. And we have the recommendation from DOJ really was to have categorization of these complaints so we could be more efficient. If you look back to 2023, if you remember, we made a number of very significant changes because our goal is to try and put as many sworn officers into patrol because really that's what the city needs. I think that's what we all heard tonight, and if it were up to me, I would take as many sworn officers that I can within our department and put them on our streets. We have a really significant nighttime safety issue surrounding sideshows, surrounding traffic, and a lot of our other issues involving like human trafficking and violent crime. Certainly this last weekend, I think we all saw that. We saw the overwhelming response that needed to be provided by the police department. What I would hope is it's not just a salary swap, for the actual positions, but by actually trying to proactively address these issues, we can also reduce overtime in certain instances, but we can also provide better safety to our whole community. For every council member in here, I know that traffic is a considerable complaint and it comes up in every neighborhood. And if it wasn't homelessness, which is also, I think, our top complaint, I hear public safety and traffic issues. We have a very small motor team for our city. We have 8 officers. That's 1 sergeant and 7 officers. And they do phenomenal work. They worked all weekend. They wrote a lot of, citations last year, but they also did a lot of warnings and a lot of education. But quite honestly, it's not enough. We've had 3 vehicular fatalities in the last 24 hours, and that's significant. We rank very, very poorly across the state for cities that are our size and are, comparable to our population. So one of the things that I am responsible for doing is looking throughout the department. We do not have the ability to have people in positions where they are not operating at their maximum capacity and doing everything that we need them to do. Our IA investigators are excellent. They really are. And they do a phenomenal job. But there is a better way for us to use those resources to address a greater need. Restoring the positions does not create people.
Okay.
And we won't have a nighttime safety team if we don't make this swap.
Fair enough. I think this is the hard part of making a decision on the fly. We do have a motion on the budget with the workshop idea and a second. I say we call the roll on the budget, please. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a motion by Councilmember Kaplan and a second by Talamontes. Councilmember Kaplan. Aye. Councilmember Tao. Aye. Mayor Pro Tem Talamontes. Aye. Councilmember Valenzuela.
No.
Vice Mayor Maple.
Aye.
Councilmember Guerra.
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings.
Yes.
Councilmember Vang.
No.
And Mayor Steinberg.
Yes, the budget passes 7-2. Thank you all very much on all sides for good work.
Go sleep.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Let us take public testimony on items not on the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 8 speakers for items not on the agenda. The first is Robert Copeland, Lambert, Mac Worthy, then Kevin Bolts. I have 8.
Great pleasure. Thank you.
Mr. Copeland?
We'll wait just a few moments while the room clears. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Jennings. Okay, who's the first? I don't see him. Okay, let's. Who?
I have 8 speakers for matters not on the agenda. It appears a few have left. Robert Copeland is no longer here. Lambert.
Lambert's here.
Following Lambert is Mac Worthy. Kevin Bolts. I don't see Kevin. Someone filled out saying District 2 issue, and it's CJ Photography is an email address.
Okay. Christine Jeffers.
Mr. Davis?
All right. I found tonight very peculiar and disturbing. I mean, there's 9 representatives up here, and I counted at least 3 city council people that didn't even comment on the budget. That's staggering to me, that you could be elected and have no input on the budget, no response, just yes, and that's it. The other thing is, and I'm the stickler of this because I actually attended a Brown Act workshop. It was held here. I believe it was a person that I have the utmost respect for, and that's Minty Cuppy. During the pandemic, because I was calling in, she sat right over there and she was here. That's tremendous integrity. Can you say the same thing? How in the world could you sit there and not have any input? And by the way, during that Brown Act workshop that I attended, it said that people are paid to put the agenda together, including attorneys and everyone. And the city manager's report is here. And they just went right past it as though it's not on the agenda. That's a violation of the Brown Act. You have one city manager. I've never heard Howard Chan talk as much as he talked tonight. I've never heard him talk like that. And he was so matter of fact. But when you have a city manager's report and you don't do it every week and you have 5 assistants, that's a dereliction of duty. And I think some of them should be brought up on criminal charges and put in prison.
Thank you for your comments. Mac Worthy, then Christine Jefferson.
Good afternoon. We heard many things on the police department. I support the police department unanimous. There's some things that have to be cleared up. Now, what have the police department put on the table that they would use to solve crime? We ain't heard nothing about that happen. I've seen 3 chiefs here, nobody. Okay, now, because they are after the fact of a crime has been committed. Now, when you budget cuts, there's your management. You could have saved money. What you gonna do with 5 managements or 6 attorneys? What are they doing? Wake up, people. Now, when we look at the mayor's letter, you gotta be careful here what's going on. Why would the mayor have a letter sent out and come in here and talk this night? Now, when you look at the mayor's position, isn't the mayor on the board of the bar of the state of California? Go back and look at it. Now, with as many attorneys here, somebody training from this. And if you look back at legislation, who lobbied that, when you come down to see the real thing, when you city, now I have associated 2 attorneys here in the city, attorneys. Now, What, are you training when they come up another city, one attorney, they call him? Very well, what's going on here, people? Because when I get my chance to get what I'm trying to do, they're going to come up. Now, when you look at what the attorneys here, you can't, as many attorneys here, they break the Brown Act. Did anybody see it? Did anybody hear it? Who is holding the mouth of others not stepping up to the plate? Somebody got something going on in the background. So you better wake up to what's going on when you could have cut some of those big salaries on the managers and the attorneys, and you saved dollars. You didn't. So wake up, because I'm going to be here for the next for the next one too, because I'm really laughing at you.
Thank you for your comments. Christine, then Mary Tapple.
Where's that for comments? Good evening, City Council. I'm Christine Jefferson. I'm a resident of D2. Chantal, thank you for what you've been doing in our community. I appreciate it. One of the things I'm here tonight to talk about is Mama Marks Park. Although we are in the process of getting that water feature put in our park, this city council, we're still owed a play structure. And I'd like to see our families have, I don't know where you're going to get the money. I heard about the deficits, but you guys seem to find money when you want to. So I want you guys to find some money that we're owed for our play structure for Mama Marks Park. I mean, it's one thing to go to a water feature, but if there's no shade covers, the play equipment is antiquated, it's that hard metal stuff that burns your legs when you go down the slide. I want to see some updated equipment for our babies. I went to North Highlands Community Park. They had a water feature there. Hundreds of families were there. But we have nothing to even make hundreds of people come to that little park because there's nothing there for them to come to. So even when you put the water feature there, we were promised a play structure. And I would like to see a play structure put in for our babies. So could you please find some money for that, please? It's owed to us. That money was put in the budget, and for some reason, it was taken out. I also want to say that I thank the police department, because I don't know about your community, but we need the police in our community. We got a lot going on there, folks, and it's not good. It's not good. The bike trail is number one, the homelessness, the unhoused, and it's not the good people, it's the bad ones. And we need the police there. Helicopters fly over my community every night because there's something going on. So I like the police for our safety. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mary Tapple, then Keon Bliss.
Hi, first and foremost, Vice Mayor, members of the council, city management staff, thank you so much for the budget augmentation for the improved maintenance along the Sacramento Northern Bike Trail. It's been so important to get it weed whacked, to get it mowed before the fire season really got underway. It was barely in the nick of time, but it got done. And we hope you'll join us for the cleanup this June 15th, this coming Saturday. And thank you also for all the removal of the vehicles, some of the very dangerously being driven vehicles. The park safety rangers did an outstanding job. Thank you for all the support for that. And thank you also so much to our police department for seizing loaded firearms that were being hidden in those illegal encampments just north of Interstate 80. And one of those was connected to a suspect who was also arrested. He was wanted for the armed robbery one of the armed robberies that occurred recently in downtown. So this cleaning up our bike trail and having efficient, effective law enforcement that of course requires police officers. You can't counsel someone out of keeping a loaded gun that they've already used, and you can't counsel someone out of not hiding from their felony warrant, getting picked up on their felony warrant. And we had also a whole lot of illegal narcotics, very dangerous substances such as fentanyl that were seized by the police along our bike trail north of Interstate 80. That is so important. We have to stop letting our people using criminal behavior against the community from being able to hide. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Keon Bliss. Following Keon is Aya Texel Galvez Torres. You'll have to teach me how to say that.
I'm just going to leave that up there just so folks can potentially watch it, unless, of course, we don't get that. There is only so much we can actually say within a 2-minute comment period, which really doesn't make this very participatory for the vast majority of us. And I do agree with previous comments that many of you that were silent on this could have asked a lot of key questions. Considering the data that was provided in supplemental budget information, which should have been part of the budget documents themselves, and especially considering some of this information was requested years ago. And the city manager just refused to actually provide that information. This is information that I was able to compile based on that supplemental budget information, but it wasn't easy because, and for whatever reason, you don't provide the raw spreadsheets for a lot of these things, but when I actually was able to add these into a spreadsheet, a lot of discrepancies came up, notably the 220 FTE reductions that were initially on the table this budget cycle. You'll note that there is a difference between vacant and filled positions. Even though the department reported at least 175 vacant positions, there were they only put on the table 130 of those positions for the chopping block. Another 91 were apparently filled FTE positions, which I'm curious to know why that was and why we didn't ask about that. Why wasn't that made clear in the supplemental budget information too when it was specifically asked? But these are the savings that you ended up leaving on the table right here. The total net reductions are from those same budget documents that were presented back in April. All of those FTEs were worth at least $25 million. And if you estimate it with the pod data that shows their actual budgeted compensation, it could have been up to $30 million. That's how much we ultimately left on the table. But even if you had decided not to make all those FTE cuts, there's still...
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Aya Texley Galvez Torres. Is Galvez Torres here? I don't see any movement. Vice Mayor, I have no more speakers.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. And thank you to everyone who came out and speak tonight. I can speak and participated in the budget process. We appreciate you. So now, colleagues, we move on to council comments, ideas, questions, and AB 1234 reports. I see Mayor Pro Tem Talamontes.
Thank you. I'm really excited for our police department to have traffic investigators, and especially with all the sideshows going on. And I know a few months ago we discussed having a workshop on sideshows. So I guess our city manager to see if we can have a workshop at 2 p.m. before council recess, just because it's summertime and everybody's up and about, or I mean during, right after, but it's summertime and that means people are out and about and racing and doing sideshows. So a request to do that. And then I have my cafecito with Karina on Thursday at 9 a.m. So come join us for open office hours. And we have Natoma Street Eats at Orchard Park. So invite the community, come join us.
Sounds fun. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to Councilmember Tao.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. First off, I would like to commend our police department and DCR for their efforts this weekend. You know, they did a sting operation on the bike trail where 11 suspects were arrested with drug paraphernalia, and just echo what the residents said with, with guns and just activities on the bike trail that should not be there. And, definitely with the encampments, I think, there's two folds to enforcement and services on the bike trail that we have to look at, and sometimes we can't look the other way when there's illegal activities on the bike trail, where we need to look at enforcement for public safety purposes. There was also I was told there was also a shooting on the bike trail this weekend as well, and so I would really look at the public safety of the bike trail, encourage staff to really look at how we provide a safe public bike trail for the public. Other than that, wanted to talk about some announcements and events in the district. First is to piggyback some neighbor associations with Del Paso Heights. We'll be hosting a bike trail cleanup with our YPC department this weekend, June 15th, starting at Jack Ray Park, 355 Redwood Avenue. And then there will also be a Sacktown Youth Night, Paint Night, at 631 Eleanor Avenue free for the first 60 individuals. And then there will also be a summer kickoff at Del Paso Boulevard on 1719 Del Paso Boulevard from 4 to 10 p.m. And the Mutual Assistance Network will be hosting a Juneteenth celebration on Saturday, June 15th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Community Park, 3525 Norwood Avenue. That's all.
Excellent. A lot of fun events coming up. Councilmember Vang.
Thanks, Vice Mayor. Just a few announcements. If y'all don't know, pool season begins actually this weekend. And so on Saturday, June 15th, from 1 to 6 o'clock at both Cabrillo and Pinnell Pool in District 8, we're going to be offering free admissions for everyone, not just our youth, but our parents and families as well. So it's sponsored by my office and encouraging everyone to stay cool and come check out our community pools. And then also wanted to tell folks to save the date for our concert in the park in Meadowview. There's going to be lots of activities, and so really asking y'all to come out. That's on Saturday, June 29th. From 5 to 8 p.m. And then also wanted to give a shout out to Luther Burbank High. They are graduating, our graduates, scholars are graduating this Thursday, and wanted to give them a shout out. And then lastly, our Meadowview Certified Farmers Market grand opening was this past Sunday, and we had a huge turnout. It was amazing, awesome, and this is going to be a year-round farmers market. I want to just give a shout out to city staff, McKill in particular, for helping us to move this farmers market along, and my incredible staff, Samantha, and also Alchemist, who is one of our main operators for the farmers market. Come join us. It's at our Meadowview Light Rail Station every Sunday from 8 to 1 p.m. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. A couple of announcements. I want you to join us next Friday for the famous District 7 Trucks and Such. It'll take place on the 21st, each third Friday of every month until September, and it takes place from 5 to 8 p.m. at Garsha Bend Park in the Pocket neighborhood. We encourage you to bring your chairs, your blankets, your family and friends. Join in the delicious food and the relaxing live music in the background. So that's Trucks and Such. And then the second announcement is the District 7 4th of July Parade, which is the biggest parade in the city of Sacramento.
So much fun.
Exactly. So I want you to get ready to wave those flags and come on out and celebrate. It's right around the corner. We're gearing up for an epic celebration. Registration is now open and spots are filling up fast. And the deadline to register, if you're going to do a car or a float or anything like that, is June the 22nd. So that's an important date to remember. After the parade, you're already going to be at Garsha Bend Park, and so we're going to have food trucks there, and we're going to have music, live music, by our very own Sharp Family Trio. So I think you're going to have a great time, and it's always a good time for family to get together and just enjoy. And some of the best cars, classic cars that you've ever seen, including a 72 Mercury Cougar convertible that I happen to know personally. I drive in it every year. It's like my kids call it the banana car.
What time does the parade start?
Parade is going to start at 10 o'clock.
Well, I think I know where I'm going to be on the 4th of July.
So all elected
Excellent.
officials, let me know you're going to be there so we can get you in the best car possible.
Yes, excellent news. Some wonderful updates.
Can you advise?
You want to pick your car?
You
Wow.
can say it, but I can't promise it.
Well, you know, I think that's up to Councilmember Jennings. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to have just a few event announcements, and then we will be on our way. So join us. What is today? It is Tuesday. So this Thursday, June 13th, you can come to Coffee with Katie. So that is between 3 and 5 p.m. at the Starbucks in the Valley Mac Plaza. We do ask that you register in advance. We're going to have 15-minute sections for folks to come up and talk about constituent issues, complaints, concerns, questions, or just tell me how good of a job that I'm doing. So you can book an appointment at sacd5.com/coffee-613. You can also find that on our website and our social media if you can't remember. Also, we'll be doing a movie night at Nielsen Park. That's Friday, June 21st from approximately 8:30 p.m., so when the sun sets. And we will be playing The Little Mermaid, which I'm very excited about. So join us. Please bring your blankets and your chairs. We'll provide the popcorn and the water and other snacks. Excited about that. So Nielsen Park in beautiful Parkway neighborhood. And then our last announcement is Saturday, June 29th. We have the Mangan Park Ice Cream Social and Free Pool Day sponsored by my office. So come out and swim, eat ice cream. I recommend maybe swimming before the ice cream. We don't want to get any cramps. I don't know if that's just a thing that my mom used to tell me or if it's real, but we will have ice cream and free pool day. So come on by on the Saturday, June 29th between 1 and 6 p.m. Excited about that. And last note, the D5 will be closed on Wednesday, June 19th for Juneteenth in observance. So we'll be back the next day if you need us. But otherwise, we'll be enjoying the day off. So, and I see Councilman Guerra.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor. Sorry, I forgot to make a very special, two very special announcements. The first one is this Friday at 5 o'clock. We're going to be at Oakey Park for our Oakey Park office hours and food truck event with the neighbors of College Glen. So I do want to thank all the neighbors of College Glen and also the Capital Optimist Club, who does a lot of fun things for the kids there and also does a fundraiser there to help support all the youth efforts. And then finally, a very special one the following day. I just want to wish my mom a happy birthday. Feliz cumpleaños, mamá, si estás viendo esto, y que deseas otro buen año. That's it. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Wonderful. And then I will now hand it over to Councilmember Kaplan for an adjourn in memory.
I just think it's appropriate for recognizing and adjourning in memory of Kevin Bryce, who passed away, who was worked downtown for 30-plus years in the bail industry and unfortunately was murdered, basically, for the work that he does. So we'd just like a quick adjourn in his memory.
We will adjourn in his memory. And seeing nothing else to come before the council, we are adjourned at 9:13 p.m.